Let me resume. Yesterday we stopped when we ran chi-square for trend. So today let's quickly go through. We still have measure of goodness of it and McNemark chi-square before we go to measure of association. Chi-square for test of goodness of fit. It's also referred to as one sample goodness of fit test. One sample goodness of fit test. It's used to determine whether the distribution of a categorical variable, for example, now something like blood pressure, blood group, follows a known or hypothesized distribution, e.g., a known pattern. This one looks similar to one sample t-test for quantitative variable, because sometimes you can have a quantitative variable, you want to know, you just have one sample, you want to compare the mean with a mean in the population. In that case, we talk about one sample t-test. But this is a categorical variable now. One sample, so want to compare the percentages of the values, the outcome categories of different categories of the outcome, which what is believed to be the norm in the population. The example that really comes to mind as commonest, I think, in medicine or health generally is blood group, ABO system. You know, in the ABO system, we have 4 categories: A, E, AB, and O. So in a particular population, they may say, oh, they have done research before and found out that this is the distribution. The majority is O. In many populations, the majority are O, maybe around 40 to 45%. Or we cannot say the majority. The one that has the highest frequency is O. Blood group O, around 40 to 45 or something like that percent. While the remaining, share the remaining group averagely around 20. Or sometimes some of them are less than 20%, the remaining 3 categories. So when you have that, you now have in your own lab, you may want to see you may do your own, the blood, the people that come to the hospital or your lab, you may find out that the percentage distribution of the 4 categories of ABO blood group may not be exactly exactly as the theoretical one in the population. You may want to see, does your own pattern in your own sample, does it fit into the theoretical one? So that's what they call it, measure of goodness of fit. The expected frequency of each group of the category variable can be equal or unequal. That's one thing, one particular thing. So let's look at an example. From that, we conceptualize. So the table below shows the distribution of ABO blood group in the tertiary hospital laboratory and the expected frequencies in the population. Can one infer that the distribution observed in the hospital significantly differ from that of the population? So you are trying to see, is it the same, is it consistent, is there any difference between them? So look at the example now, very, very clear. You see, look at the table. The percentage frequency observed is 76, A is 76, B is 74, AB is 31, then the other 119. This is not percentage, rather the observed frequency, because there are 300 of them. Out of these 300, these are the distribution of the different categories. And if you express it in percentage, you can see 25.3, 24.7, 10.3, that's AB, and the O is 39.7. That's CDI. The percentage distribution, the frequency in the population they want to give you, which is the expected, is 21.1%, 80.9 for B, 50.4 for AB, and 44.6 for O. So you can see your own percentage is different from the one in the population. So though the calculation is virtually the same thing, Pearson, observed minus expected. That's what divided by over observed, and square over observed. I will tell you the logic. You just want to see, is there any difference in the observed and the expected? If the chi-square is the one that is measuring, quantifying the difference, the measure of the difference, more like the indicator to know if the difference, to measure the difference between observed and expected. Now, all you need to do, okay, now that they have given you, you have the observed frequency, but you don't have the expected frequency, yes, because what you have is the percentage of the expected. So, of course, because they have done the study, you don't know, maybe it's 1 million, the study they did to tell you the theoretical one, maybe they sampled 3 million people or whatever, or 1 million people, that they now come with this result. So you don't actually need to know how many of them, but they are already giving you the percentage of it. What you need to do now, you have your own, how many in your own sample, and of course you can calculate the percentage. So all you need to do is to translate their own percentage into frequency using your own total also. You know that, look at the table, the second table below. You can see that your own is 76, 74, 31, 119. But you don't know the observed one. So how to know is to not say, okay, you want to use the percentage. Look at the population distribution in percentage, the one they gave you. So you translate to the population frequency, expected frequency, assuming that the number in that population is the same thing as 300 as your own. So all you need to do is to say, okay, 21.1% means 21.1 over 100 times 300. Your own sample is 300 to now get the number. So can you observe the expected frequency now will be 63.3, 56.7, 46.2, and 133.8. And your own is 76, 74, 31, and 119. That's it. So when if you add this, it will be 300 because you are using 300 as the denominator. So your own sample is 300. Yes, you have your observed frequency. If the percentage of the one the expected is this, if the number sample size of the one is assuming it's the same thing as your own, that's what you just did to know how many of them will be in those categories. After you have done that, of course, once you have done the expected one, you just put the formula as usual. Okay, I say this thing just push this thing out. So when you put the formula, you get the result. You get this. Okay, let me just try to correct this because it's tilted. I think one way to do that, I think it's this. Let me just one way to do that is just to reduce the font size. No, if I select, let me see. Let me just reduce the font size just more, from 30 to 12. Can you see that? I think I stay now. So you can see the way we calculate. Observe the first one, Group A, 76 in your own, observe, expected is 63.3. Can you see? Square over 63.3. You know, it's observe, the sigma, chi-square is sigma, summation of all the observed minus expected over observed, over expected rather. So you see, 76, which is observed, group A, block group A, minus 63.3 is observed, which is expected, over 63.3. The same thing you do for all the different categories. When you down calculate it, can you see? You will see something now. If you try, can you see now? You know, when we're doing the other time, you see that some value are consistent. You know, I've already told you that if you, before you square, if you get the difference, if you try to add it together, it will be 0. If you try to see some were negative, some are positive. If you try to add the positive and add the negative, it will be the same thing. So if you try to add all of them together now, it will be 0. You observe minus expected. If you add it for the 4 category, it will be 0 if you add it. That is the logic behind, okay, to remove the negative, square it. Of course, to come back, you divide by the expected. So that is the logic in chi-square. So at the end of the day, the chi-square is 40.4644. You will see that in this case, there's nothing like contingency table. There's no contingent row. What you are seeing is not a contingency table. Or if you look at it, if it's a contingency table, there will be one variable on the horizontal, another variable on the vertical. It's only one variable, blood group, ABO blood. The only thing you look at the frequency in your own study with an expected frequency. That's why if you look at the one I was describing, I see that single sample, a single sample non-parametric test. Can you see? Also referred to as single sample goodness of fit test. So a single sample is one group and it's one variable. So when you now come now, how do you now calculate the degree of freedom? Because the degree of freedom, if it is contingency table, is going to be number, row, degree of row, number of row minus 1, multiplied by number of column minus 1. Then remember that even that row minus 1 is the degree of freedom for the row. Number of column minus 1 is the degree of freedom for the column variable. So you now multiply the 2. But in this case, only one variable. So the number of category of that variable minus 1. So in this case, the degree of freedom is 3, which is 4 minus 1. So if you go and check the table of chi-square, the critical value for the degree of freedom of 3 is 9.455 for 0.0%, 5, which is 5% level of significance. The degree of freedom is for the critical value of chi-square for the degree of freedom of 3 is 9.488. So your chi-square of 40.464 is significant, it's higher. So that shows that the corresponding p-value will be less than 0.052. That is significant. So what it's telling us is that the answer, the interpretation of the result is that this blood, the distribution of blood, the percentage, the frequency of blood, the ABO blood group in your lab, in your hospital, is far different from the one in the population. Of course, you expect now, who are those people? Because people that go to tertiary hospital, they are not representative of the population. Because it takes somebody that is critically ill most of the time to rush the person to tertiary hospital. So somehow it's not a representative, it does not represent the segment of the population. So you may not expect the blood group, the distribution of the different type of blood group to be the same with that of the population. I don't know if there's any, we're going to run it now. I don't know if there's any question, any clarification. I think it's very clear. Any clarification? Any question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, go on.
Okay, let's come to the last sentence, the second to the last sentence. Why did we choose 0.5%?
Okay.
Why
Yes.
did we then?
You can decide to For most research is 0.5%. You cannot choose, you can buy nobody, you will not choose anything, you cannot choose 1%. But you can choose people usually choose 0.5, 5% is 0.05, or 1% is 0.01. So nobody choose 10%, which is 0.1. So but you can choose 0.04, 0. But it's not popular. There's no something that show that you cannot choose 0.0, but nobody choose anything greater than 0.05, which is 5%. So any other question?
Well, I just have a concern. I have a concern.
Okay, sir.
My concern is that this kind of study, like this goodness of it, is better for maybe an advanced country where they have a centralized database. In this country now, we don't have data for the population unless you are going to use somebody's study.
Well, yeah, you're right.
So those are our challenges.
Go on, sir.
I'm through.
Okay, well, if it's something that, yeah, you are right. If it's something that is very, very important, critical, that's how. So even that one also is critical. So to me, if you really want to know, these people, unless we are not even sure, because if you want to collect your driver license, and that one also is another thing, because it's not everybody that drives. Yes, I mean. So the driver license will be for the high class people or middle and high class and drivers. Yes, I mean, driver can be low class, but drivers. The other people that are lower class that are not driver, you may not get the information from this. And so now let me tell you something. Some of these people, how do they verify? You just write anything. They are not sure if you remove somebody's this. They say, what is your blog group? They say, you just say anything. Just give anything. So sometimes you don't can't. It's only
a challenge.
It's a challenge. So it's a challenge. So when we don't have central, there's sometimes also when we do, I don't know, I will check demographic survey. I don't know if they do blog group, because when they do demographic and health survey, they do malaria parasite, because malaria is very is endemic here. So I don't know if they should decide to, if they don't attach importance to the blog group, they will not do. And there was a time before I started my residency, I was in Abuja, and I was trying to work out, trying to work. I was trying to do a lot of things. Though I was working in one private school, but I was trying to, do school health. I went to school here to look at to see how I can be giving, pre-admission or each time to do examination. I did for one school, one private school. When I saw the idea to one man who has a private school, we went to do, and he was happy. We discovered, we did visual acuity. We use we examined the hair, the diagnosis test key pack used to do all this examination. One of the things I proposed was to do blood group, but this issue we couldn't do for that one, because before you can take blood from it's ethical. Family, they don't know what they all those superstition, what to use blood to do. So you cannot take allow you to take blood of children. So I was proposing that everybody, children, everybody, even the national ID card, whatever ID card, should have they should do blood. If somebody have accident, sometimes in emergency, they may know, if they know the blood group of that person, it helps. If they are already blood in blood bank, and for a particular, different, they can just quickly give the blood. But here, you have to now first of all test, what is the blood group of that person. Those are the things. So I think we can proceed.
Okay, so
hello,
sorry,
sir.
One more question before we proceed.
Okay.
Apart from this example that you have presented before us on how we can use chi-square for test of goodness of fit, which other applications, in what other ways can we also use it? I don't know if I'm.
You can use it. Even when I was illustrating the last this training, I talk about. Imagine now, maybe they've already said that maybe in the particular ministry, all the 6 geopolitical zones should be equally represented, or maybe they may give a particular percentage of each geopolitical based on the population of each geopolitical zone in the country. If they give either 2 way, either they can say equally. If they say equally, that shows that in a particular ministry, if you divide 100% by 6, so you go to give, that is a percentage of people from each of the geopolitical zone. Or the second alternative is there is a particular percentage allotted to each geopolitical zone based on their total contribution to the total population. Yes, I know you are raising hand. I will call you Chido. So the issue there is that they may not okay. You may not you can get to see, and now you want to see. You now do your study. You now do your study. Who is that?
Oh, no, isn't it now?
Usman, that's how he was disturbing yesterday. I'm muted him. That was how he was disturbing yesterday. You want to talk, you off your distance. So they can now quickly do your assessment and see and calculate the percentage and now see. Let's see, because you can, if you say this percentage, it is not compulsory that it will be 100% word for word. That if you say 25%, it must not be 26, it must not be 24, it must not be 24.5%. No. Then you may, when you do, you might now want to compare the percentage you got with the one that is theoretical, because the other one is theoretical, because that's how it's supposed, they say it's supposed to be. That is expected frequency, expected. Does it make sense now?
Okay, so now, yes, sir. Assuming I want to conduct an impact evaluation in 7 states, for example, and now the distribution of the LGAs in each of these 7 states differs. They are not the same, and I'm expected to sample, take a sample, of the communities and
proportionate to something, yes.
Yes. So in that kind of instance, can I use this?
Yes, it's very brilliant. Yes, they expect you to say, okay, proportional sampling. So percentage come from this, and somebody want to assess. It may not even be that, maybe the benefit. Maybe you are recruiting them into a particular program where you are giving them some benefit, and they have already told you this is the number or percentage that should come from different based on their population. When you finish now, they can get your data and now see the number, the proportion or number that come from each district. Operationally, there's no way it can be word for word or number for number. But you can now put it to test. You can use this one to put it to test. You want to see if what they observe in your own fit into what they expect. Yes, you can use it. You can use the very brilliant one. Even sometimes they even use, you can use any, even in maybe the patronage. If you say that the patronage of a different people in a particular shop, maybe shopping mall, this is the percentage, or maybe it may be the number of visits per week. Yes, these are the number of visits per week, and by the time you now establish your own something, you start working there, you begin to observe the visit per week. We may want to see the number of visits per week. Is it consistent? Is it the same thing what they have told you? Yes, for you to really know, maybe something has changed in the patronage. So the number of visits for each day of the week, you may compare what you're observing with what they have told you, which it would be the expected. It makes sense now, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. And before I call Unashuku for his question, there's something from what you just said. If you remember in this slide, I first of all said that the last sentence, the expected frequency of each group of the categorical variable can be equal or unequal. The expect, and you should know, I told you, it may be that they say it should be equal. Because when we are running it in the express, we're going to see that condition. It will come out. So it can be, say, equal or not unequal, mean that they have already given you, just like what you said now, they have already given you. Just like what I say about geopolitical zone. They may say in Nigeria that each region should be equally represented. That's that the expected frequency is equal. But it may be that each region should be represented based on their population. In that case now, all you need to do to know the total population, the population of each region, and know the percentage contribution of each region. That would be the expected frequency. But if it is equal, all you do, you don't need to calculate any expected frequency, because you know that the number of category divide 100 by number of category, that will be expected. In that case, you don't calculate expected. You just go and run, you run it. Even though this one you run it, but you have to put in the expected frequency if you want to run it also. You see. Okay, Dr. Onashuku, what's your question?
Hello, sir. Sorry for bringing us back a bit.
Okay.
It's concerning that slide you showed. I was a bit confused as to the percentage.
The next one. This one?
No, the last. Yeah, this one, sir. Where you say percentage distribution in population. I just wanted to know how we got those values there. I'm a bit confused at that point.
The population distribution in percent?
Yes, sir.
And that shows that you came late. What is the theoretical? Maybe they have done study before. Well, they have done community study, a survey, and they have found that in the community, that population, this is the frequency, this is the percentage of the blood, different category of blood group. 21.1% A, 18.9%, 15.4% is AB, and 44.6% O. Now you are now want to, so that's, they give you, but they will not give you the number. You know, if you have been following our this thing, maybe you have watched our video on the descriptive statistic and all these basic concept. We talked much about this concept of the frequency, type of frequency, relative frequency. Yes, I mean, relative frequency in percentage is for standardization. You don't quote, when you are quoting, oh, Professor so Eto, you will not say that he find out as 350 people have that attribute. What you say percentage, you not say, oh, 40% of them have this attribute. They have already, they will not tell you the sample size they use. They just standardize because when you do study, you use different sample size. So if I find out that 80 has an attribute in my study, and you find out that 120 have that attribute in your study, you cannot compare 80 and 120. Your own, no more of the people have attribute in your own study. Upon how many? Your own study, maybe you are talking of 800 people, my own study may be 300 people. If you say compare 80 over 300 and 120 over 800, you know that 80 is bigger. You get it. So that's why you don't put the absolute value is the percentage, which is the relative frequency. And that is why when they want to give you the frequency, they give you the relative frequency. Then you can now apply that relative frequency. Since you don't have their own sample size, you now apply to your own sample size to know how many will it be. If you look at both your own and that population, we have now used 300 as the base, but you can now see that the number will be different because of the percent. I think it's very clear, Dr. Ona.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
That's it. No other one. So let's run it. Who will run for us? Because you have it. Who will show? Who installed here today? Okay, Dr. Fatime, you have your own SPSS now. Click on your SPSS and share. Let me allow you to share.
Okay, sir.
Just open the SPSS and share, or you can even go to that folder where you have the data file. Double click on it. It will open unless you don't have the latest one. If you don't anything, maybe 25 and above, you don't have it, you may not do that. But just share. You can open your SPSS and share with us. I'm going to look for that.
Sir, which of the folders should I open?
I say click on your SPSS. Let it open first. Once it open, they show that you want to open it as you just just share with us. You click on this share screen and now double click on it. Yeah, it will show up for us. I will tell you what to do after that. That's great. That's great. So go to file now. You know where you save the file I sent to you. The document I sent to you, right? Open data. Yes, open data. Then go and look for it now. Where you can go and search it. Yes. Okay, you want to type it in. Okay, it may be giving you. You can. Yes. Okay. Yes, it's there. Yes. Yes. ABO blog group. That's the first one. Double click on it. Yeah, that's great. So share again. It has opened, but you. So share again. Somebody shut them. Yes, somebody. That's great. Somebody send a chat. Just wait a minute. Please, I don't know. Okay. Just wait a bit. Okay. Someone say, can the goodness of fit method a data validation tool? What does that mean? Can of fit method.
Sorry, I meant that, for example, if like the Nigerian Demographic Health Service now, if, for example, let's say there's already existing data pool in a country, maybe their census data or something, and let's say, you know, the demographic surveys are similar to epidemiological surveys, and you now want to find out, let's validate that national demographic health survey you did.
Well, is it validate now? Or maybe you feel that as it's changed, because, you know, things are dynamic. Population is dynamic.
Okay, I see.
Attribute me, yes. When they first of all did your this thing, they may have the value. Then now, newly, is this still the same? You may, yes, you can do that. So their own percentage, you know, is done for categorical variable. So
okay,
with their own percentage, you compare your own, the one you just did now, if it is still the same or it's different.
Okay.
Different, yes, that you can use. Okay, Dr. Fatima. Now go to analyze. You can see, okay, before that, come out of the analyze. I want to explain something on the screen. Just come out. Yes, thank you. You will see that this data, you see sex, though, I don't know, age, I just put it, but that block group, click on A, the way we say A, B, A is coded 1, B is coded 2. You can see, you can scroll down. C is coded, A, B is coded 3, O is coded 4. You can scroll down, let's see those coding. Scroll down. Use the bar beside, let them see this coding. Is it moving at all? Yes, can you see now? 1, 2. Can you 3? Yes. Just to understand. Now it's okay, it's okay. Go to view. Go to view. It's okay, Dr. Fatima. You go to view. Click on value label. Down, value label. Can you see now? Because I code it as 1, 2, 3, but this is the label. 1 is A, B is 2, A, B is 3, and O is 4. Okay, go now to analyze, because I have the list for doing that. Go to, no, it's not frequency. Go to non-parametric. You know, you can only go to that cross tabulation is under that frequency, the one we did yesterday, because anything you arrange contingency that has row and column, one variable along the row, another along the column. That is what you use tabulation to calculate the chi-square. But this one now, you know, chi-square itself is a non-parametric statistic. a test. Now, you see, go to legal value, the legal dialogue, thank you. Then click on chi-square there, under the legal dialogue. Yes. As you click now, move block group as the test variable. Great. You will see the question I say, look at the expected categories. If you say all categories equal, you can just go and run the analysis. It will run it for you, but what you do automatically, he has put them, that is 20, he has divided the thing into 100 into 35%, 35%, 35%. I think you get what I'm saying now. It has divided into 25, 25, 25. Then you just run it like that. But this one is not equal. You know, I said the other time, I said that the expected frequency can be equal or unequal. But in this case, it's unequal. If it is equal, as you just put it, just click, by default, say all categories equal. You just click OK. It will just run it for you. But in a situation where all categories are not equal, you now click on value. Click on value there under that all category equal. Click. Yes. You are now saying that you want to be entering the value of it. You have to enter according to the way you code it, you know, from 1 to 4. So the expected value we did the other time, let me show you, because you have to know it. You have to input it there as you are doing it. So the expected, let me just check it here for you, is 63.3, 56.7, 46.2, and 133.8. So, Dr. Fatima, okay, I want people to be seen. Let me just write it down because I forgot the right time. So that you are supposed to note that one, so that you just put it there. That's the way it works. 63.3, 56.7, 46.2, and 133.8. Yes. So I think you should do that one now, Dr. Fatima. Okay. Now the first one, type 63.3. Type 63.3 there. In that space. Hard, when you type it hard. Then type 56.7. That is for the second one. Just erase the hand, yes. 56.7. Hard. The third one is 46.2. Then the last one is 133.8. Yes. So when you do that now, just say okay. So go and share. Stop sharing and go and share the result view, because we are not seeing the result view now. Stop sharing and now share the result view. Share the result view. Where the result going to? Many people have not joined. I don't know what happened. Is it that they are having problem with connection? Dr. Fatima, share with us now. Share the results. Go to share again as screen sharing and double click on where the result goes. Yeah. Great. Can you see now? You will see, it will give you, it has listed the frequency, the observed frequency, 76, 74, 31, 119, and also the expected frequency, which you put there, that's listed. And now calculate the difference. Can you see the difference? That's when we remove expected from observed. Can you see? Some are positive, some are negative. If you try to add them together now, it gives you 0. Of course, the remaining one, the division adding squaring it is not shown there. But look at the chi-square. It's the same value we got when you calculate it. And the degree of freedom is 2. But the only one we could not get was the p-value, is 0.0. So it is very clear that it's significant. Look at it, it says, is 0% have expected frequency less than 5. The minimum expected frequency is 46.2. Can you see? You know, we talk about the condition for chi-square to be valid, which even the SPSS also will give you. You know, when we did the Pearson chi-square yesterday, it gave us that thing. So simple. You can stop sharing, Dr. Fatima. So I think it's very clear, it's very straightforward. Stop sharing. Any question on that? Any question? It's very, very straightforward. Yeah. So this the step also is here. Look at the results. It just shows us now. Why is this thing freezing? Yeah. So look at the results. Very clear. Then let's quickly discuss McNeman chi-square. There's no question. McNeman chi-square.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I just want just a confirmation. So basically what it means is when we are entering in those expected values, to enter it in the order in which the blood group is.
Because that's the way you code it. Yeah, the way you code it. If you don't do that, it is, and it's good to code it, because if you don't code it, the computer will now arrange them alphabetically. But you know that one can be confusing.
Okay.
You yourself, you may even forget. But it's better you code it, you arrange it, any category you are dealing with. Code it 1, 2, 3. If you code it, you can go and label, put the value, label it, no problem. Is that code you follow? So the way you code it, that's the way you be entering the expected frequency. Otherwise, you're going to give a reference of another one for another one, because it will give you different results. Okay, now.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. What McNeman chi-square does, it compares proportion between two related groups, repeated measure or pair observations, with the variable having categories of outcome. Yes or no. Example, yes or no, male or female, whatever. What it's telling you now is that you have the same people. Something happen, you assess them before and after. That is his peer observation. So the two group of data you collected is from the same group of people, only one sample. And you are talking of categorical variable now, that is, the outcome is 2 categories. It's not quantitative variable. If it's quantitative, that's why we use pair t-test. The outcome is category, and it's 2 categories, either yes or no, male or female, whatever type of outcome. So what the implication of that is that when you constellate before and after together, you're going to have, since it's 2 categories, you will now see on the row before is 2 categories, on the column after, which is after, 2 categories of the same thing from the same people. Look at it here. Look at the example here. Just outcome 1, outcome 2, that is the before, measurement before, outcome 1, outcome 2. Measurement after outcome 1, outcome 2. Look at the example. It's better you look at it. Yes?
Sorry, I'm having difficulty seeing your screen, sir.
What happens is that you didn't see the screen, or you have difficulty seeing the screen? The not showing or what? Let me share again. Can you see now?
Yes, sir. We can see it now.
Yes, sir. I can see now. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's great. What I say is that, can you see example? Measurement before, measurement after. So you put your measurement before along the horizontal, your measurement after along the vertical. Since it's the same measurement you do, so outcome 1 maybe yes, outcome 2 maybe no, before. After outcome 1 maybe yes, outcome 2 maybe no. Can you see now?
Okay.
So look at the example.
Sorry, sir. Can I ask a question quickly?
Ask your question, yes.
Okay, so now can this be applied when you are doing, maybe you are conducting a survey on the same group,
yes,
and then
and
you have your baseline with the same group?
Exactly.
Then you have your intervention with the same group.
Exactly.
So you compare to see.
Yes, you now measure again. Yes.
Any change?
Yes, you are trying to look for the changes. But however, when you do it for that type of thing, you must be able to pair. That is meaning of pair. That is, if you have to have the list of all the people you attend to, you take your baseline from. If this is Mr. Karuba, you must be able to know when you take before and after, when you are entering it, you must be able to attach the two something for Karuba, so that when you are entering, you enter on the same line. That is meaning of pair. But you know what some people do, community intervention. They just take a sample before, they take sample after. It doesn't matter. They don't even know some of those people they take before, it may not be among those people they take after. Or even some of them may be there. Even with some people, in that case, it's not pair. You cannot use it. It's even though it's before or after, it's independent. The two groups are independent. But some people, they may even do it in such a way that, okay, it's the same people. But because they didn't know, when they are entering, they enter it haphazardly. It doesn't, when they now, number one, when they are entering it, number one is different. They enter it separately into, they don't do it parallelly. I will show you later, don't worry. When we get to, okay, well, the example there is, I will show you what I mean by parallel and series. If they enter it in series, they didn't enter in parallel, it cannot work. You understand? That is the logic. If you want to do paired, you must be able to, for each person, the measurement you take, the questionnaire, before and after, you must be able to marry it together. So that when you are entering into your software, for the same row, the questionnaire for one person and after will be on the same row. You know that it's before and after. You have to code it. That aspect of questionnaire that has changed. Because the social demographic most of the time will not change because it's within short interval. So social demographic will not change. But that aspect of your measurement that you measure 2 times in them, when you are entering it into creating the variable, you have to call it pre or before. When you write it, maybe it's weight before or pre, you have to be putting it. When you now create the variable for the other one, you are creating the variable for the same thing, weight, post or after. You get the picture now. So eventually, so for Eunice, maybe it's the number 1. As you enter, before finish, you continue to enter after. That is the way to do it. Otherwise, it's not fair. Okay, any other question? Now, let's use this example here to explain. The table below shows the hypertensive status of a group of adults before and after an intervention. Intervention that involve lifestyle modifications. Did the intervention significantly influence their hypertensive status? So we want to see before you either you measure, you know, there's a way. You want to know prevalence of hypertension. 3 things may come into play: the history of hypertension, systolic hypertension. When you measure systolic hypertension and diastolic hypertension, is by the time you use Boolean logic to bring a renal, this is hypertensive, this is not hypertensive. Imagine you did that for a group of people, about 200 of them. After you have given your prescribed your SSI, your diet, many things you want to prescribe. After some months, you come back to do the same to measure their blood pressure, and you categorize if you're hypertensive or not. That's what their scenario. Now you're going to see there are 4 categories you're going to have. So the middle, you know, all this total, that's the total bed. This is 2 by 2 table. There are 4, those 4 categories. These 8 are the people that were, yes, they were hypertensive before and they were hypertensive after. These 108 are the people that were not hypertensive before, after still they are not hypertensive. These 152, they were the people that were hypertensive before, but later they are no more hypertensive. These 32 were the people that were not hypertensive before, but later they became hypertensive. Does it make sense? So you're going to see that before, people, the total that were hypertensive were 60 and 140 were not hypertensive. But after, the total that were hypertensive were 40 and 160 were not hypertensive. So you can even see that from that observed result, the people that are hypertensive drop down from your observed result. And you know that some people who are hypertensive, they become not hypertensive. Some people who are not hypertensive, they became hypertensive even after you have prescribed your distance. So we want to put it to test if there's any difference. This one is 2 days. It doesn't really matter. Maybe you may even find different and discover that your method make them to be more hypertensive. But the issue they just want to see, is there any difference? Or the difference you are observing now, is this statistically significant? Now, you will see something. There are 2 discordant cells and there are 2 concordant cells. Also, who can tell me this is the workshop? Which one are the discordant? Which one are the concordant?
The discordant is 32 and 52, while the concordant is 8 and 108. Thank you, sir.
So, wow. Explain.
For the discordant, it was either they were not hypertensive before, they now became hypertensive after, or vice versa. But for the concordant, they were hypertensive before, they are still hypertensive afterwards. They were not hypertensive before, they are still not hypertensive afterwards. Thank you.
That's great. Do everybody understand now? If it's not okay, let me know. Do you understand now? You will see that this diagonal, the one I painted white, that would be 8 and 108. This A and D. Because if you say A, B, C, D, that's where we denote the 2 by 2 table. A, B, C, D. A and D, they were concordant. In the sense, they didn't change, nothing changed in them. They were hypertensive before they remain. These one were not hypertensive before, they remain not hypertensive. These are the concordant. That's why I painted white. They don't even go into calculation. It doesn't, that one does not change. It is not responsive to your intervention, so leave that one out. Then the discordant are the one that are of interest, B and C. The one that were hypertensive before and become hypertensive, non-hypertensive later, and the one that were not hypertensive before and become non-hypertensive. Those were the 2 people. So the same thing I show here. Now, if no hypothesis were to be true, that this your intervention does not, or nothing change, don't let me use intervention, because people will be thinking it's only used for intervention, because this example is intervention. When I was describing the last time, somebody has, oh, doesn't mean that it has to be intervention. No, because the example I give is an intervention study, but it may not be an intervention study. It may do something before and after. It's nature that has made something just occur naturally, any change here, but it's not because of the intervention. Now, in that case, it's still the same thing. So I can use the word nothing change. If nothing change in your, that is to them, no hypothesis is true that there's no difference between before and after measurement. That is not hypothesis. What do you expect this discordant to B. What it means, what you expect is that the number that were hypertensive that become non-hypertensive should be equal to the number that were non-hypertensive and become hypertensive. In that case, those are not teaching. It's just like if somebody they took two tuber of yam and they returned 2 tuber of yam, so that you are not lost. So you can't say there's any change. So it is then. We are not saying they didn't take it, but whatever they take is returned. So I think you understand the concept now. Now I want to ask. We have already said that now the total that changed, if you add it together, you're going to have 52 plus 32. It gives you 84. That is the total that changed, either whichever direction, the total that changed is adding the two discordant together. I want to ask, if no hypothesis were to be true, there is no teaching. That is, the value here should be equal to the value here. What should be the value there? I want you to answer. What should be the value in each of them?
42.
Yes, because all you need to do is to add the two discordant together, divide by 2.
Divide by 2.
Yes, divide by 2, each of them. So we have that value. That is the null hypothesis is that B is equal to C. If that is the case, add B and C and divide by 2. So B will be half of that. That is, C will be half of that. That's what it says. I.e., B will be B plus C over 2. C will be B plus C over 2. So if the addition of these two is 84, then divide 84 by 2. It will give you 42. That would be what you expect to be there. That would be the expected. Do you get the picture? If no hypothesis. So I already told you the discordant cell is not part of the calculation. It's only those one that change. So you just say the chi-square would that be for only 2 cells, not for the 4 cell. It's not for the cell that did change. So 52, which is the observed for this one, minus the expected 42, square all over the expected, plus 32, which is observed for this one, minus expected, which is 42 over square over 42. When you calculate it, it will give you 200 all over 42, which is 4.7619, whatever, 4.762. Does it make sense? Okay, the expected we even calculated here, or now put it here. Does it make sense? However, the intelligent people come with a shorthand. You always say shorthand. The intelligent people, they find out that instead of you to be burdening yourself, just put.
Sorry, sir. Go back to the other slide.
Yes.
Okay, so this 4.7 here now, what is it representing?
It's the chi-square now. That is the chi-square. And the degree of freedom is 1. You get the picture now. You know it's 2 by 2. No, it's not because it's 2 by 2. You know, it's not because it's 2 by 2 till that degree that is the degree of freedom here now. You go to see later when we get to my back at the next one. You go to see that the degree of freedom is 1 because there are only 2 discordant sets. That 2 minus 1. There are only 2 categories of discordant. It's not 2 row minus 1. Row minus 1 times column minus 1. No, it's because there are 2 discordant sets, which is 2 minus 1. That is the degree of freedom. The degree of freedom is 1, and the chi-square, the critical value for chi-square for the degree of freedom is 3.84 for 0.05 level of significance. So you can see from there that this one is significant because it's higher than 0.84. So if you do, the p-value will be less than 0.02. You see something. 0.05 rather. Now, the intelligent people came. They said, okay, all you need to do is that this discordant set, look for the difference between the discordant set divided by the addition of discordant set. When you look for the difference between the discordant set, square it over the addition of the discordant set. Can you see now? It's just like as if, you know, since it's about this corner, it's just like as if one is serving as expected, and one is serving as observed. So somehow, just do and just square it over the addition. It gives you the same result. Look at it. 400 all over 84 is the same thing as 200 over 42. Is that not so? 200 over 42, 400 over 84. If you divide it, it gives you the same answer.
Okay, I think it's an easier way of arriving at.
Yes, it's an easier way. Once you know the formula, this is an easier way. You don't know, you just do it like that. So it's a faster way. Now, the degree of okay, just leave this degree of freedom because you don't understand it now. When we get to the next one, I've already told you anyway. They just leave this calculation, but it's 1. K minus 1 over 2. K is the number of category. Then the critical value of chi-square, I've already said it, 3.84. Therefore, this one is statistically significant. Any comment or is there anything, any clarification, any question? So that we proceed to run it. So who will run it for us? You have that as blood pressure before and after. Hypertension rather. Hypertension before, that's the name of the data set. Hypertension before and after. Who will do it for us? Who will run it for us? This here, because I don't want to do it, because if I do it, that is the opportunity for you to open your. Who share? Okay. Unashuku, you don't want to share?
Sir.
You don't want to share?
Yes, sir.
Okay, share now. Because Fatima shared the other one. So I want another person to share. Or if you are not, or you don't know, you are not
sharing. I'm
okay,
sharing, sir.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
I'll need to. Let me start by.
You can go to open that folder and go and just double click on it.
I wanted to ask, so this McNema, I know it seems like an equivalent of PET test.
Yes, counterpart for the categorical, PET test for the categorical. Yeah.
So the McNema, is it now a non-parametric?
It's chi-square is non-parametric. Chi-square is non-parametric.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, now. Anything you are using for categorical variable, because we are used to compare categorical variable. Non-parametric.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And
can you see my
the categorical variable do not follow normal distribution except their sampling distribution? We can see. Yeah.
So I think you
no,
said
this
something.
is not. I said it's not socioeconomic status. I say you should share. It's not socioeconomic status.
It's I've shared it now. Can you see it now, sir?
We can see it.
So there's a last statement.
What's that?
There was a last statement you made about distribution.
I say categorical variable, do they follow normal distribution? Parametric tests are tests you carry out when you can make an assumption that data set follow a particular distribution, normal distribution.
Yeah. But categorical, they usually don't. They don't, sir. Categorical.
It's only their sampling distribution that can follow normal distribution if the sample size is. Sampling distribution means that you take sample, if you take the sample, and many of those samples, if you take even the categorical variable, you can summarize it as percentage. As in a percentage of female, or let's say percentage of Igbo in Lagos. Although that percentage of Igbo in Lagos, Igbo as either ethnicity is categorical. So if you say percentage of Igbo, you are trying to say, okay, maybe Igbo compared with others. In that case, as followed by normal distribution. I was saying yesterday. So if you now take sample, if you say, oh, its percentage is 20%, that 20% is a number. If you take many samples, theoretically take many samples. So especially if the sample size is very big. The sample also, the value you are getting will follow normal distribution. That is the what we call. It's only sampling distribution of the categorical variable that can follow normal distribution. Even the quantitative variable also, the sampling distribution follow normal distribution, irrespective whether that variable follow normal distribution or before or not. That is logic. Yes. So it is then So when you are talking of non-parametric, chi-square is one of the non-parametric tests. Okay, let's.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Now, you will see something Jane was saying before. You know what I was telling her? If you look at it now, hypertension before and hypertension after. If you look at it, we didn't say this is the measurement. Scroll down. Scroll down, Dr. Una. Slow down. You know, there are 200. Slow to the, you can even say control. Okay, no problem. There are 200. Just drag down. Let's say, because it's the same group of people you take this measurement from. If let's say there are two groups now, 200, 200, when you finish emptying this hypertension for this group, you continue. Instead of the other one now start from 200 to 400. But it's the same set of people. So it's not a different group of people. So when you enter this hypertension in front, hypertension before in front, the other one will be the second one, so it's in parallel. There's the same group of people. So it's enter in parallel. If there are two group of people, you enter in series. When you finish one, the other one continue. Like your work now, Ugo, is in series because there are two separate group of people, right? Nobody's answering. Okay,
yes,
now
sir.
let's.
Sir, yes, sir. It's in series, sir.
Okay. Yes.
If it's the same sample, it should be in parallel. If it's before and after, then it has to be parallel.
Yeah, it has to be in front. So you have to first of all enter all the variable in first. You now, and the other one you now enter in the front if you after. So I think Dr. Ogogore, your project was peer now, you remember? I remember. Dr. Bitrus. Okay, you need to unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Odusholu speaking.
Okay. Go on.
So from where I can guess where I goofed yesterday according to the correction that was made.
Okay.
I forgot the name of the person. That when I was entering my data, I should have entered in series, not in parallel.
But you didn't enter your data in parallel. You
I did another one
okay,
in parallel. That like this, before and after that I'm looking at now. I had group A, then group B in parallel. So now wow.
Okay, let's
go. To enter in.
Okay, what you sent
to enter into series, they don't
the funniest is what you sent to me. I just because it's in series. The other one finished at 305 and the other one continue up to. So I just entered because it's for people. I just put in SPSS like that and the group. I made sure that I showed the group very well. The only thing you didn't create a group variable. You just I now created a group variable in front.
How do I create that? Is that one I don't know. How do I create that group variable?
Very simple.
You will teach me. Oh.
That one is very simple. All you need to do is to put after your serial number, create a variable and call it group. So for the first group, you enter 1 for this one and label it support. The second group, you enter 2 and label it no support. Simple. So when you are running it, that is what you're going to use to group it. I think maybe when we do we can demonstrate how you do.
All right.
You now split it.
Right.
So okay, now let's go. Go to analyze. Analyze.
Thank you, sir.
Descriptive. You know it's cross tabulation also. Cross tab, yes. So before should be your row and make after your column. Yes, I mean what comes before will be the row as if it's the exposure here. Now go to statistics. Statistics. Click on McNema. No, Casper. McNema down. After risk and kappa, yes. Continue. Okay.
I think I'll need to share it.
No, don't need to share. We are seeing it now. because you are seeing. If I'm seeing everybody's seen it, we are seeing it. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's showing the result view for us. Okay, you now want to click on here. Yeah. Can everybody see the results? Scroll down small.
Yeah.
Can everybody see the result? Scroll down.
Yeah.
Can you see? You will see that it arranged the way we put it on the table. 8 and 108. That's 8 yes. 108 no. Non-hypertensive. The discordant are 52 and 32. So the one thing with the computer is that as this thing, as simple as it looks, are you really listening now? It doesn't. I think it can put for about McBacker. I've never seen software that give the value out. It doesn't give the value. Even if you use WinPaper to do it, it will not give you. It will give you the p-value. So you can use hand to calculate the value, but you can't calculate the p-value by hand. But the machine will calculate the p-value for you. You cannot calculate the real figure for you. So it's combination. You have to use your head to calculate and go and check the p-value in it. Does it make sense? Any question? It's quite interesting. Okay, you can stop sharing.
Okay, sorry, sir. Before you stop sharing.
No, stop sharing. I have it on this one. Don't ask your question. Stop sharing.
Okay, so how do we interpret these results now?
Okay. The result is, you can see on the table you put, you see that you can put the percentage when you are doing something. What percentage were hypertensive and what percentage were not hypertensive. Is the percentage hypertensive is along the, okay, let me show you this one to make it the one colorful one. How many are hypertensive before? 60. So the middle one, you don't concern yourself. You don't, apart from all those logic, you don't concern this. You don't concern yourself with what is in the middle. Is the interpretation is along the periphery. So 60 over 200. You put the percentage here. So the percentage that were, anyway, if you want to run it, I think maybe if I don't bother ourselves much about this, please, Shido, quickly share and run it so that you put percentage row and column. So that instead of you using quickly share with us and run it, we are going to put percentage row and column. But the total percentage you are looking at is not the one in the middle. Okay, go back to analyze. Cross tab. We did it before now, so why is it? It's supposed to be there.
I made a mistake. I clicked on frequencies instead.
Okay. Now, just go to cells. No, not cells. Go to set. Put row and column, 100%. Click row and column. Yeah.
Do I click continue?
Yes, continue. Continue. Okay.
Can you see the?
Instead of you to even go in the result, yeah, share the result. You can see. Unshare this one, share the results.
I should. This is the result, sir.
No, we are not seeing it. Please.
Okay.
Go to
again.
All right. Yes, please. Sorry. Can you see it now?
Yes. I can see it. Now, so the question Jane, the person was asking, how do you interpret? So you will see, if you look along here, you look at column percentage for, because the row, the hypertensive, 8 hypertensive, 60 hypertensive before, 140 non-hypertensive. No, because rising was higher before, 140. So because you want to look at the total is 200. So look at the column that within after that column. So 60 out of 200 is 30%. 30% were hypertensive and 70% were not hypertensive. So the prevalence of hypertension was 30% before. So after, look at the after here. 40 were hypertensive after and 160 were not hypertensive. So you, in this case now, you are looking at within the row percentage within before. Can you see? Within before here. So you're going to see that 20 were hypertensive after 80. So the percentage of hypertension has changed from 30 to 20%. That's all. That's the interpretation, and it's significant. So the whatever has happened, maybe your intervention has reduced the hypertension, the percentage of hypertension by 10%. The reduction, 10% reduction in the percentage of people that are hypertensive, and it's statistically significant. You can code the value of McNema and the p-value. That's it. So when you are tabulating, you don't put percentage in the middle. You know the total is garbage out. So that one, yeah, just so you put the percentage along the. You can use that to calculate. You put the percentage along the. Let me tell you something. You don't actually need this one to do the percentage. If you want to do it, you know what you do. You run the Dr. Una, for you to know the percentage to put there, because this one, if you use this one, it can confuse you. Go to analyze. The way to run the percentage to run so that you don't confuse. Go to analyze. Here in that section, there now. Go to analyze, not transform, analyze. Go to descriptive frequency. Click on frequency. Move the two inside. That before and after, move the two inside. You can say Control A7 and move everything. It's okay. I now return it out. Yeah. Click OK. Click OK. It's frequency you are running. So scroll down for scroll down. Scroll down for us. This one is down. Your RAM is very small. That's why it's taking time.
Still running the frequencies. Yes.
And I'm thinking your RAM is small. What is it running? What you are not
okay,
running?
That's finished.
Can you see now? Before, you can see before 30, 70%. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
After 20, 80%. So in that table, when you show it now, you go and put in the front of each of them. So if you're going to use that one will confuse you. You after all, before you will go and do your McNema, you will have done your table frequency and put it. I don't know if you understand me now. So those, you put it, then you do your anyway. You do your cross tabulation to see the way they intersect anyway. You do your cross tabulation, but you put in the percentage. You use this one to put the percentage at the edge. Those ones in the middle, they don't need the percentage. That's one. So the before and after, the presentation is different for the way you present other things. Any question? No question, right? Let's continue.
No question.
Okay, stop sharing. Dr. Shiro. So let's quickly proceed.
Okay, sir.
Let's proceed to McNema Barker. So this is the output we just, McNema Barker, if you look at it, we just finished McNema. This one, McNema Barker. Now, you will see that the outcome, the category of the outcome for the one we just did is 2. But there are situations where the outcome category is 3, 4, 5. So the extension of McNema is McNema Barker. So given n subject from whom measurements were taken twice before and after, with the outcome of each measurement assigned one of the K category. Why they call it K category is because it's more than 2. It can be 3, 4, 5, can be anything, not 2. Distribution can be represented as K by K, of course. The number of categories will be the number of that category before and after. If there are 8 categories, 8 by 8 table. If there are 5 categories, 5 by 5 table. If there are, because at least it's the same thing you mentioned before and after, so it's the same category. So in that sense, K by K contingency table. So forget it, don't bother yourself about all those signs. But this is just, but if you get this slide, you can go and study this one. Just, I don't want to bite my tongue. So leave that one. Me, I like go directly to.
I was okay.
Don't worry.
I was trying to look at the last
Don't
one.
worry. The table of the value will be here. It's the same thing here. Don't worry. That one is just academic work. Okay. So it's just representing that thing. So you don't even need to. But anybody that want to go and look at it. Now, what we are looking at here. Okay, before I come here. Okay, what this table is telling you is that the number of categories of the outcome is the first column, which is the K. Then total number of cells. So if it is 2 categories, you're going to use 2 by 2 table, which is 4 cells. If there are 3 categories, it will give you 3 by 3, which is 9. 4 categories, 4 by 4, which is 16. So the square of the number of categories is what number of cells you're going to have. Then the number of concordant cells, the concordant cells actually along the diagonal. Look at it. The one that you will not change is that thing after and before. The example I'm using here is the socio-economic status before and after COVID-19. When you say COVID-19 has not ended, this one is not. It's just a fabricate. This is hypothetical. So the whole of data of socio-economic status that I sent to you is me that just fabricated them. So socio-economic status before and after. Now you will see it's 3 by 3 because there are 3 classes here: upper, middle, lower, upper, middle, lower. So before, upper, middle, lower, after, around 300 people. I will still come back to that. I was explaining this. So if you can see now, how many cells? 9 cells, because there are 3 times 3, 9 cells. We are talking of the one in the middle. But out of these 9 cells, how many of them will be concordant? That is, will be upper before, upper after, middle before, middle after, lower before, lower after. They just along the diagonal. The one I painted one. Usually along the diagonal. Now, what we are trying, then the ones that are discordant are off the diagonal, on both sides of the diagonal. Now, if you come back here, what we are trying to look at here is that how many, by the time you know the number of categories, number of cells, how many are concordant? The number that are concordant are equal to the number of the categories. If there are 3 categories, 3 will be concordant. If there are 7 categories of the outcome, 7 cells. Though you're going to see 7 times 7 number of cells, the 7 cells will be concordant on the diagonal. Then number of discordant cells will be, can you see here? It's not going to be double. As you see, look at it, it's the same thing with this one. This one is double. So number of discordant cells. Then the number of pair of the discordant cell. Can you see that? So while the reason for this one per se is for you to know the number of pair of the discordant cell. For you to know the number of discordant cell, that is the logic behind this calculation here. And the number of discordant cell and the number of the concordant. Of course, the number of, when you remove the number of concordant from the total, it gives you the number of discordant cell. Though actually, you may not even actually need, but that's with the logic behind this. Even maybe I'll just make it simple. Look at it. When you know that the number of the diagonal cell is equal to the number of the category, then you have already know the number of cells. Remove the number of the concordant cell, which is equal to the number of the category. From the rest, it will give you the remaining will be the discordant cell. Divided into 2, one on one side, the other on one side. So they are in pairs. the number of pairs of the discordant cell will be half of the number of the discordant cell, and equal to your degree of freedom. Because I've already said, if you remember, each pair, the degree of freedom is the pair minus 1. You just remove 1. So the number of the discordant cell, because they occur in pair, half of it will be the degree of freedom. So let's go to.
Look at that last statement, sir.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't bother yourself. Don't bother yourself. But that's one. We'll come back. Don't bother, because I don't want anything. You get to understand it better. Let's look at an example. It's better use an example. Use rather than just looking at anything. The table below shows the socio-economic class of a group of adults before and after COVID-19. It should be after. It should be a COVID-19 pandemic or COVID-19 pandemic. Let me just correct it now, because so that when I'm doing something, I say I will correct. Before you know it, it will still be there. I forget. When I'm presenting again, it will still be there. You only discover that I will forget. Before, after COVID-19 pandemic. Did the pandemic significantly influence their socioeconomic status? Look at the data set. Now, for you to look at it, there are 3 categories. So you expect 3 times 3 number of cells, 9 cells. Can you see now? Now the number of discordant cells will be 3, equal to the total number, the number of the category 3. After all, it's going to be where the category meet before and after. Where upper and upper meet before and after, where middle and middle meet before, where lower and lower meet before and after. So, number of discordant cells, the diagonal will be equal to the number of categories of the hardcore. Now, this one in this case 3. Now, the number of the discordant cells will now be the total minus the number of concordant cells that are along the diagonal. When you remove 3 from 9 here, now it gives you 6. So, and those discordant cells, they occur in pairs on one side. This one, that's why I give them the color code here. That was why I was telling you that you understand it here. You look at the color code. What this one is saying here is that, okay, look at this 14. 40 people were upper before and become middle after COVID-19. Then 7 people were middle before, they became upper. So it's the exchange between middle and upper. Those are the pair. It's a pair. Exchange between middle and upper. This green was upper before, it became lower. Then the pair would be the people that were lower before, they became upper after. These are the pair. Then this third pair would be the people that were middle before, they became lower. Then the pair would be, the second one would be that were lower before, they became middle. Can you see? So the discordant cell occur in pair. So when you want to calculate the degree of freedom, if you remember the other one, which is 2 category, McNeman, I told you the degree of freedom was 1, not because it's row minus 1 times column, no. It's because of those 2, the pair, there are 2, just 1 pair. So if the 1 pair, the degree of freedom is 1 because there are 2 cells in that pair, 2 minus 1. So the degree of freedom will be the degree of freedom for this and this and this pair, making 3. So the degree of freedom for this one will be 3, which is equal to the number of pairs. It has nothing to do with the number of discordant, because it just happened that the number of the pair, just the number of discordant does double the number. If it's higher something now, it's going to be different. So what will tell you the degree of freedom is the number of pair, because after all, it's the number of the pair of those discordant cells. Somebody was saying something.
Yes, I didn't get how you calculated that degree of freedom, because I get the part that the discordant cells run in pairs. That one is very clear. So are you saying that?
Yes, we have already told you that the concordant cell has nothing to do with. That's why.
Exactly. So it's the discordant cell.
Is the discordance set that
exactly
the calculation and the concordance has nothing to do with calculate anything.
So, and from what I've seen, we're having 3 discordant pairs. So would that be 3 minus 1?
So the degree is going to be, okay, if that's the case, for each, what I'm telling you, for each of the pair has its own degree of freedom. It's addition of all the degree of freedom of the pairs that come to that degree of freedom. This color coded is us blood now. The degree of freedom for them for this pair is 1. The degree of freedom for this pair is 1. The degree of freedom for this pair is 1.
Making 3.
Yes, there are 3 pairs. Each pair has degree of freedom of 1 because there are 2 sets in each pair, which is minus 1. So each pair has degree of freedom of 1. So the degree of freedom for this one is going to be 3. So that is why they use this formula is for you generate it from that's why you generated it from combination. That was what I was trying to show you. But combination, if you remember combination, this is the formula for combination, and that's what is adapted here. The combination, n combination, how to mean that n number of items, how many way can you arrange it, combining in hard way. That is, here now we are talking of pair. Pair is the hard, 2 is hard, constant. That is, if you have 20 things, maybe you have 10 things now. How many ways can you arrange them? Two different ways you can arrange them. That's what it says. Pair them. How many ways can you pair them? So in this case now, if you have two group, 2 items, you can only pair them in one way. Can you see? That is why number is pair is 1. If you have 3 things, you can pair them in 3 ways. A, B, C. That's what we got when we're talking of ANOVA. That's what we said now. A, B, C. 3 things. A, B, C. A and B. That's 1. A and C. That's 2. B and C. Can you see? So when you have 3 things, you can pair them in 3 different ways. When you have 4 things, you can pair them in 6 ways. When you have 5, just like that. So whatever you now get that happen to now be the degree of freedom.
Okay.
You get a picture now? The degree of freedom. So that is by doing, you say pair sample. You are pairing, that is before and after. And they have different categories. So you are pairing so when you have 3 categories of alcohol, how many ways can you pair them after? You pair, that is, can they appear to themselves before and after? Because that's before and after is a pair. You get the picture, that is what so that's what you see in that table. In this table, that's why you are having this number of discordant like this. So the discord, so they appear, that is, can you see the way you can pair the different way? So you pair them in 3 different, this one in 3 different ways. Does it make sense? Now, let's look at how do you now calculate the expected value? Because what you are seeing there for those pairs are the observed value. The funnest thing is the same thing. Once you understand the magnemma, the same thing. All you need to do, if no hypothesis were to be true, these people that are the same pair, this us blood, the transition between middle and upper, because this is a interplay between middle and upper before middle, upper before, middle after, middle before, upper after. This intermediate between middle and upper. If there's no change different, the number that change from upper to middle should be equal to the number that change to middle from middle to upper. And so you need to add the 2 together and divide by 2 to give it them equally. Can you see? 40.7 over 2, 10.5. 40.7 over 2, 10.5. The same thing you do for this. The value 50 and 22. 50 plus 22 over 2, 80.5. 50 plus 22 over 2, 18.5. All of them must have equal. Each of the pair must have equal expected value. If you say there is no change, if no hypothesis were to be true. The same thing with this one. 50 and 57. 57 plus 50 over 2, 53.3. The same thing. So when you now feed in the expected value and do that. If you use the formula, you get your value, you get 4.116. And the degree of freedom is 3. From here, you know that this one is not significant because the critical value of chi-square for degree of freedom of 3 is 9 point something, 9.556 or something. So the value we have gotten is less than the critical value. It cannot be significant. The critical value for the chi-square of degree of at degree of freedom of 3 at 0.05 level of significance, 2T is 9.488. So that shows that there's no change in the socioeconomic status of these people before and after COVID-19. That's what it's telling you. Does it make sense? And if you now apply that formula of the intelligent people, you know, I told you of these intelligent. I think
which intelligent people, sir?
Is it what?
Which intelligent people? The formula of which intelligent?
You have forgotten. Look at
this one.
The other one. When you just put just the discordant over, just forget about this one. Just the difference between the discordant over addition of the discordant, add it together for all the. It gives you the same thing. Can you see? It's not the same thing. It gives you the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So let's run it now. Any question? Any question? No question.
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's great. Okay, who will run for us this time? Who will run? Who will run? Apart from Shido and Fatime, who will run? Emmanuel. Emmanuel. Unmute yourself and okay, everybody show your camera. Show your face, please. Everybody. Apart from the senior, apart from my senior here, apart from MD, Dr. Ekobo, Ogogori, those are the people that are exempted from showing your face. After all, I already know them. Yes, because many people, because number one, they do is either they close their camera, they are doing something, they are doing this somewhere, or they don't want to answer me, so that since I'm not looking at them, they don't want to answer me and say, okay, where is Emmanuel?
Emmanuel, if you are still on the call, run this thing. Emma, are you there?
Okay, no. Okay. And also Dr. Lagujoye. So I don't know he has even come. So
I'm going to call
your face.
I will call him out.
All my seniors should not show their face. It's the junior one that should show their faces. So and I won't want the senior to run something for you. Yes.
David can run it while I try to reach Emma on phone.
David, okay, David, run it for us now. And David is free to show his face anyway. Okay. David, are you there? Don't waste our time. Okay, if you are not there, Jane, share with us. Socioeconomic status, that's 5 socioeconomic status. They don't know that the more you do, the more you know it. That's just the logic. Not that I cannot run it here, so I can have the data here, but I just want.
Emma, are you sure you are still on this call?
So you can have your camera if you feel that his internet cannot carry it because it consumes data. So you can off it.
Thank you, sir.
You can off it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you said socioeconomic status, Abi?
Yes. So are you just downloading it?
No, it's already open. I opened it yesterday.
Oh, do after.
Okay.
Anyway, this is the last one we are doing. I will go to measure of association. This is the last, we have done trend, winner of it. Yeah, that's all.
Oh, we're fast today. Thank God.
Yes. And yesterday we were installing, even the people we installed for yesterday refuse to share now. They refuse to use it because 2 people install here that we share our time. That is Akago and David, they install. And now they refuse to share. Now, okay, now.
names.
Okay, if you look at it now, you will see something. This is, if you remember, this is the one we used for both the first chi-square and the trend we did. It's the same butterfly. But you will see that for social economy status, we put it 2 times, before and after. Can you see? COVID. So both of them are in parallel. So let's go to analyze. The same thing, the way we did McNema. It's the same McNema, it's extension of McNema. Go there.
Okay.
Go to descriptive, cross tab. We can't see anything. Oh. There is no that. What is happening?
I think my network is a bit unstable.
Okay, it's your network.
Yeah, because you can see the data on the screen.
Okay. We see the data, we cannot see inside. Okay, don't worry. If we cannot see, just stop sharing. Let me use my own. Let me share. So we don't waste time. Stop sharing. If I even read my own address, it will not take time, share. Anyway. 1 minute. Economy status. Class. So it's open. Can you see? Can everybody see?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so, I now know why it didn't show. What? You know, I used that same file to run what we did yesterday. So it's asking me whether I wanted to overwrite.
Okay. Okay, so it's just like I just label it the same thing. So look at it, and you just go to analyze descriptive statistics cross tab. Just move before and after. Just move it. The row is before, after is column. Statistics, McNema. Just the same McNema. Okay. We give you.
So it automatically does the McNema Bowker for
Yes,
you.
yeah, it's an extension of it. So look at it.
Okay.
So you can see
the intelligent people.
Very simple. That's the way you arrange it. Before, after. Can you see all the? These are the discordant cells. The off diagonal are the, and these are the concordant cells. 6, 36, 93. These are the ones that are not part of the work. The other one that off their diagonal, they are there. So look at it, McNema chi-square, and look at the degree of freedom is theory, and look at the p-value. It's not significant. So that's the only thing we could not calculate this p-value. It's not significant. That's how to do it. So if you go and tabulate now, you will not use this. You first of all do the frequency before and after. Come and put for before, you put in front of each of them here. Then under here, you put in front of each of them. Because the total, this total here is the after. The one that is this here is the before. You'll be able to know the percentage change, the way they change. But whatever you are seeing is not statistically significant. Now, I don't know if there's any question, but there's a question somebody asked me. In fact, it's not even, it was when I was giving the lecture on the general lecture on McNema Bowker. Somebody asked me. I don't know if you have any question.
So does that mean? So that means this thing was coded inside the software.
Fatima, after you talk. What do you say?
No, it's like as if it was coded inside the. Because I noticed that the same thing with the different types of chi-square. You know, when you do one, once you do it for a particular, it just once you click on that chi-square, it automatically runs it. It's like as if it's coded. The same way with this McNema, because you think that there will be a separate McNema Bowker. But for some reason, is it coding?
Oh, it's the same. It's the same logic. The issue is there that that one is two categories. This one is this, and this one is able to give you for that McNema Bowker. It gives you the statistics. For McNema, it will not give you. Can you see the other one will be empty? There's that McNema machine does not give, but this one can give you.
It will give you.
It will give you. Oh, it's the same formula. It's the same logic now. It's the same logic. It's the same logic. Okay, Dr. Fatima, what's your question? Dr. Fatima?
So what's the p-value for this one?
0.29249. Look at it, it's here now.
Okay.
Look at it.
Thank you, sir. I've seen it.
P-value. So, it's very clear, right? Very simple and very interesting. So, yes, now the question, no, if you don't have questions, somebody asked me a question, I thought you would ask. Now that if let's say there's a difference, don't know, maybe I will even want to look for data sets that is a difference. If let's say there's a difference, how will you know where the difference lies? No, it's like ANOVA, where you say there's a difference, because we are talking of three, where does the difference lie? Is it between lower and upper or whatever? Because if you are saying that there's a difference, now, the difference, where does the difference lie? So if you find a difference, all you need to do is to go and check each of them, each of the pair, and calculate it out. If you check each of the pair, you'll be able to know where the difference lies. Does it make sense now? Is it between the middle and upper, or between the upper and lower, or between the lower and upper? Does it make sense now?
Yes, but it's similar to, there was one test that you taught us. I think it's ANOVA. Yes, where you now do. So I feel like this one does have an equivalent.
Test.
ANOVA is post-hoc or the
Planck contrast.
Planck contrast. Yes, sir. But for this one now, won't it be tedious? Let's say if you have like.
What is this one? Is even simpler. Is the simplest. What is tedious there? I said you go back to that something. You calculate. You calculate as if it's McNema alone. You calculate it as McNema.
I understand. My question is, you know that you showed us combination. So if, for example, these categories were, let's say, 10 or 20, so you're saying that they're going to be doing it for each of those discordants, each of them.
I even doubt number one, I even doubt if you are going to have that type of category. All this illustration I just did there is your away categorical variable that you'll be running analysis, and the category is up to 10 or 20. All this one I just put on the table to show up to 10, just to academic exercise, just for you to know the trend. So the best you can have most of the time, maybe 5 categories, 4. Even most of the time, whatever measure, sometimes people have a way of collapsing it. And before you can even use that type of thing, unless you are talking of population data that is millions, thousands, in that case, maybe you can say you put something on a scale of 1 to 10. You can put, and you have big population that you have a lot of them. Each cell is filled up. In that case, yes, you can do it. You can do 10 categories. But what is 10 categories? How many pairs does it give you? You are talking. It give you 45 pairs.
5 pairs.
Look for the yes. What is worth doing, because you are trying. It's worth doing. If you find a different, you want to know which of these. I think if I get the type of project, maybe they are doing one big population something, maybe like this demographic survey, and they are trying to, there's a scale of maybe socioeconomic class, and you put it on a scale of 1 to 10. So because it's going to be big, that type of project for me to get is going to be big project. So so to do it is difficult. What is difficult here? You know, when there is motivation, nothing is difficult. Okay, let's continue.
I wish those, people can even think of a test for it to make it easy.
For what? So let's quickly talk. Let's now move. We are done with chi-square. Let's look at measure of association.
Okay, post-hoc equivalent.
Okay, let's look at measure of association. We're going to be, our you see, measure of association. You see, comparing proportion and measure of association. Whenever you use chi-square, you look for association between categorical variables. You get chi-square and p-value. Significant, non-significant. Or the best you can do is to go and look at the percentage to explain it, just like what Jane was asking. So you can see that there is 10% change. You can see. Those ones, they are not really quantifying the association. P-value is not quantifying the variation. What we will just tell you is to estimate the probability of the result you are seeing not being due to chance. If it's so small, that's okay. Sometimes if the p-value is extremely small, you tell me the probability that the result is being to chance is extremely small. So you can say that it's not due to chance. That's what it's telling us. But it does not quantify the association. But in trying to quantify the association, you may want to see, okay, if a group of people are exposed to a risk, a factor, and that group are not exposed, you can use, okay, how many times the people that are exposed to that factor are more likely to have the attribute, the result, the outcome, more than the other one that are not exposed. If you are able to quantify, it's a quantification, it's a measure, you are trying to measure the association. Now, in order to do that, you need to understand some things. Risk, cost, what do they mean? So we're going to look at understand the concept of risk and odds. We're going to understand relative risk, odds ratio, run them, and interpret the result. It's quite interesting. That was why I don't want us to waste much time on the other. Normally, if let's say we passed day before yesterday, we'll have finished the other one yesterday. This one we just finished now. And we'll have started with this, no problem. Now let's look at the risk and probability. What is risk? Risk is the probability that a particular event or outcome will happen over time. Risk is the same thing as probability. But sometimes the people use risk in the wider sense. Some people even think maybe risk is probability that something bad will happen. You say you are taking risk, you are taking risk. That is, if you are traveling in the night, what they are saying that there's a probability that you have accident because it's night, that you are taking risk. But sometimes good thing also, there's a probability that good thing happen. It's risk also. Risk is a probability that an outcome or event will happen. It doesn't have to be bad thing. So in business sector, they use it, they call it speculative risk. If you are investing, they know that, or maybe people that gamble also, right? Probabilities. If somebody is investing, he knows that he may gain money, he may lose the money. That's part. They say risk is part of it. But people now think maybe the risk is only the bad aspect. No. Probability that you gain, the risk. Probability that you lose is a risk. So that's why we talk about speculative risk, that in portfolio investment, when they put the money, they either lose the money or gain the money. If you are doing forex trading, you either lose or gain, because there's no trading without. If you don't gain, you lose. If you don't lose, you gain. Now, let's look at the risk. We have already understood that is probability, and we know that probability is number of time favorable to that event over total number of outcome. Number of outcome favorable to the event over total number of total. number of total number of possible outcomes. Then, for example, now let's use a classical approach for you to understand. If you have a die, you toss a die, what is the probability that it will give you 1? Die has 6 faces, and 1 is written on only one of the 6. So it's going to be 1. Only 1 out of the 6 outcomes is favorable to getting 1. And there are 6 possible outcomes because there are 6 faces. So the probability of you getting 1 is 1 over 6. Probability of getting 3 is 1 over each of those numbers. Probability of getting 1 over 6. So I don't want to go into that. Go and watch the video on probability and normal distribution. You saw those in there, fantastically explained and demonstrated here. Now, you know, when you now say, okay, what is odd? Odd is risk or probability over 1 minus probability. Odd of an event is the probability that an event occur over the probability that event will not occur. If I say the probability that it will rain today is 6 over 10, 0.6. What is the probability that, what is the odd that it has rained? Or we can even say what is odd that it will rain. Because one thing with probability is usually futuristic. Odd is both either futuristic or past. You get to understand that later. So I want you to talk the workshop. If the probability that it will rain today, what is the odd that it will rain?
I think if it's the probability that it will rain today, what is the odd?
That it will rain.
1.5.
Yes. How did you get it? How did you get it? Let us know how you got it. Explain so that people get it.
I use the formula that the probability that it will occur over the probability that it will not occur. So if 0.6 is the probability that the event will occur, then 1 minus 0.6, which is 0.4,
exactly,
is the probability that it will not occur.
Yes.
And so
0.6 over 0.4 is 1.5.
It's like 6 over 4, which is 1.
Is it clear to everybody now? That's the way. So you will go to see something. There are very many interesting things about this odd and risk issue. So odd is risk all over 1 minus risk, and risk is odd all over 1 plus odd. So that one, if you change subject of formula, that's what you will get. So odd, probability of the event over 1 minus probability of event. Because 1 minus probability of event is the probability that the event will not occur. It's going to P all over 1 minus P. Does it make sense? Now, before we move further, you will see probability is between 0 and 1. It cannot be less than 0, cannot be more than 1. So the probability cannot have negative value. And it cannot have more than 1. Now, the odd is from 0 to infinity. Look at it. If you say probability of event, okay, if I just say probability that event will rain today is 0, what is the odd that it will rain today? If the probability is 0, what is the odd?
0.
It's going to be 0 because if you say it's 0, then the other one is 0 over anything is already yes. Now, if I say the probability that it will rain today is 1, is certain. What is the odd that it will rain today?
Infinity.
Infinity. You understand now? Okay, if the probability that it will rain today is 0.5, what is the odd that it will rain today? So the
1.
No, don't talk. I don't want to talk for. Let another person talk. other people, let them talk. If the probability that it will rain today is 1, is 0.5 rather, what is the odd that it will rain today? Is it difficult? Odd is probability all over 1 minus probability. So 0.5 all over 1 minus 0.5. 0.5 all over 0.5 is not 1. Because 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5, and the denominator is 0.5, is 1. So all those simple things. So look at this table here. Even if you just look at the table and be telling me, yeah, that's why you can see. I'm asking you what I have shown on the table. So look at, you can see the value of probability. If probability is 0, it is between 0 and 1. Midway will be when probability is 0.5. Is that not so? But by that time, odd has moving faster to 1. Can you see? So it has doubled the movement of probability. Then when the probability completes the remaining half, odd has moved to infinity. I don't know if you see what I'm saying. So if the probability of something is 0.9, the odd will be around 900. Now, so that is why the people that speculate about football, they try to speculate that Gamma or do something, try to this thing. They use odd to compare. They want to know who will win. They use a parameter to know the probability, the chance of group A winning, the chance of group B winning, and calculate their odd. Because when you calculate the probability, the value will be too close. If you say something is 0.55, well, yes, another one is 0.57. So sometimes the difference is too close. But if they change it to odd, they can see wide gap. They use odd to calculate the difference in the probability chance of two people team winning, to know which one will win, and it give them better answer. So now let's look at the diagram, the picture. Odds, look at, is like this is like a pie chart. The probability is, that is, you remove that small aspect over the, the probability, this is odd. The probability will remove that small aspect over all of them, total. All over total. That is, if you say everybody, we have 10 people, 2 of them are male. So the probability of having male among them will be 2 all over all the 10 people, both the 2 and over the remaining 8 and the 2 male. That is why probability is. You remove a sector over all of them, including the sector. The odd, you remove a sector over the rest without that sector. 1 minus probability. Can you see? So the odd will be equal to probability in a situation where that particular attribute is very rare. Okay, don't worry. Let's go. Now, instead to plot what I just said now, you really see this versus us, odd. If you plot odd and probability, look at the way the graph is. Because if you look at it, when the probability move to 0.05, the odd is 1. Can you see? 1. Look at this. They use different scale. They won't use 0 to 1. That is the probability. But odd is not 0 to any, it's 0 to infinity. So that's why there's no end to the number going. So when the probability move from 0 to 0.5 halfway, the odd move just 0 to 1. It has passed more than when 0.5 is 1. When the probability now moves to complete its journey, close to 1 here, the odd is going to infinity. Does it make sense? So you can see that type of graph is very skewed. And to be able to make sense, intelligent people now change that odd to logarithm. When you calculate log of, it's called log it. So what will happen is that it now give you this shape. This is probability, this odd. To normalize, that is why we use logarithm to try to transform from a log transformation to make something normal. Leave that one. Because when we want to do logistic regression, we start from here. Okay, let's talk about comparison of risk and odds and logic. Okay, I just put this one. Look at this now. We may refer to likelihood of observing an attribute as a proportion or as an odd, just like what I said now. People calculating the probability of something happening, likelihood that something happened. You can use either probability or odd. The proportion are known to have a binomial distribution, that is probability. In turn, converges to the normal distribution when sample size increases. Of course, when sample size increases, we have demonstrated that yesterday when I was showing that binomial distribution when we were talking about yield correction. But when the distribution of the corresponding odd is highly skewed to the left and will never convert to normal. No, look at this now. So if the sample size is high, binomial, something that follows binomial will look like normal distribution. That is what we have said about sampling distribution. But the odd will never, it will forever skew. Look at it, this second. But for you to have that thing, for the odd, something from odd to become normal, or you need to change to logarithm. Calculate log odd, which is logic, look like normal. However, using the logarithm of the odd instead of the odd result in a probability distribution that converges to the normal distribution, exactly as happened with proportion. Logarithm of the odd is called the logit, and we can work with logit in the same way we work with proportion. For example, because the logit are in linear scale, we can subtract two logit to find difference between them. We will not do this operation with odd because they are not in linear scale. I want you to know something. Logic are important also because the difference between the logarithm of two quantities is equal to the logarithm of ratio of this quantity. For example, if you say logarithm of A minus logarithm of B, it's the same thing as saying logarithm of A over B. That is, if you calculate logarithm of A and calculate logarithm of B and remove them, it's the same thing as saying logarithm of A plus over B. For example, here, if you say logarithm of 6 minus logarithm of 2, if you do calculate logarithm of 6 and remove logarithm of 2 from it, it will give you the same answer as, say, logarithm of 3, which is 6 over 2. Look at this case, that's what I just demonstrated. This is x and this is their logarithm. Look at logarithm of 6. Look at this, it's 1.79. Can you see? Logarithm of 2 is 0.69. It will give you 1.10. Why is the logarithm of 6 over 2 is 3? Logarithm of 2 is 1.10. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's great. You have question or you say it makes sense? It makes sense, right?
It makes sense. It makes sense, sir.
Yeah.
It does not know.
What is yours done there? You are not following. Are you your baby now? Now, I say if you do logarithm of two number and remove one from the other, and remove the value of logarithm of one number from the other, you minus one from the other. It's like say logarithm of the ratio of those numbers. That is, if you divide that number and now find the log before you find the logarithm.
Okay.
Yes, you know, I was explaining something. I don't know. I think it's yes. Day before yesterday, when we're talking about difference, talking about likelihood ratio chi-square. I said logarithm minus the corresponding operation of minus in logarithm is division. The corresponding operation of plus in logarithm is multiplication.
Multiplication.
Yes. What on the normal scale, arithmetic scale, or not the log also is arithmetic. On a normal scale, minus is like division in logarithm.
Okay.
On a normal scale, plus addition is like multiplication in logarithm. That's what play here. Logarithm of 6 minus logarithm of 2. It's like saying 6 divided by 2, which is 3, logarithm of 3. And that is what we demonstrated here. Look at logarithm of 6, 1.79. Look at it. Logarithm of 2, 0.69. Remove it, it gives you 1.10. It's the same thing as logarithm of 3. Because 6 over 2. 6 over 2. Okay.
Thank you.
These are logic. Now, let's talk about relative risk. We are talking about hold and risk now. Let's see the way it works. Relative risk, also known as risk ratio. What it just means that you are, when you say ratio is what you get. If you remember physics, your physics, ratio is what you get when you divide two quantities of the same unit. These two quantities, the same unit, you divide them, you get ratio. I gave an example. When you say 400 kilometers divided by over 4 hours, it gives you 100 kilometers per hour. It's not a ratio because both the numerator and denominator, they are not the same. The same type of quantity. One is distance, one is time. That is why you have to put the unit kilometer per hour. But if you say 400 kilometers divided by 4 kilometers, because there are two, both of them are kilometers, the answer is not 100 kilometers. The answer is just 100 because the kilometer has cancelled the kilometer. It has no unit. It's dimensionless. So we will begin to say what most of the some statistics, all the statistics you are calculating, they are dimensionless. They don't have units. All these chi-square, z, R correlation coefficient, all of them are. If you look at it, there is this factor of division there. It's the same thing that you are dividing. The same type of thing you are dividing to get. So at the end of the day, you get a dimensionless, it's a ratio. So where we are saying that relative risk is risk ratio, that you divide a risk by a risk. Risk divided by a risk. So ratio, relative risk are the same thing as risk. All of them are ratio, both relative risk and odd ratio. They are ratio because you go them by dividing the two things. They are similar. Odd ratio is the same thing as relative odd. So it's only that relative risk stick to relative risk and odd ratio stick to relative odd ratio stick to odd ratio. Both of them, they can answer the same other name. You can call relative risk ratio. You can call odd ratio relative odd. Relative to the other, that is relative to the other. So odd ratio is used when the occurrence of an event, for example, maybe incidence of a disease, cannot be calculated because the event has occurred in the past. You understand now? You know, probability is futuristic in the sense that you calculate probability of something that has not happened. You cannot say, oh, it has rained. That's what the probability that it will rain when it has rained. You understand me now? Yeah, it has rained. So what's the probability that it will rain today? So the probability is futuristic. It's just like when you say, okay, if I toss a coin, I toss, if they say, okay, the probability of somebody passing exam, it's very high. Maybe you calculate with some things. It's 90%. But the person can still fail. Doesn't mean that for the fact that the probability is a value doesn't mean that you go to get it. In fact, you can even calculate probability that something is certain that the team may not happen. No, you can say the probability of an event is 1, certain that it will happen. It may not happen. You can even calculate probability that this event will happen is 0, and it may happen. So probability is actually futuristic before the event occurs, just to predict, to plan, to know what to do. But the odds, you calculate it. If you look at it, we calculate it from probability. So the odds also can be used for futuristic, but it can be used for something that has happened. So the odds can be used for futuristic. When you calculate probability, you can calculate the odds. But if the thing has happened, you calculate odds also. Now, most of the time, when you use odds, is when event has happened. Like in case control study, the event has happened. In the area, in that situation is very, in case control, the particular attribute is very rare. So what to do the study, instead of going to do a core study that is looking to the future to calculate risk, calculate risk. Because at the end of the day, in fact, you may not even see what happened over years. Just like I say, you may calculate probability, it may not happen. So over the years, you can be following up to see the study. It may not have that particular attribute for you to even do analysis and conclude for years. That's why core study is the most expensive study, more expensive than experimental design, because of experimental also is longitudinal in the sense that it's future, but it's a short future. You look at future that is just short. But the core study look for, because we expect that thing to go naturally, it may take time. You may not have enough occurring. So in a situation, if the disease is real now, you may even, for years, you may not conclude core study. So intelligent people that, okay, let's go and look for the case that has happened. When you look for the case, that is why you now look for similar people, but apart from that disease, they are similar in many things. That's why they call it case. Those other people will serve as control. That's why they call it case control. So in that case, since the result, the thing, you cannot be calculating risk or probability. You can only calculate odds. Now, cross-sectional analytical study. When we say analytical study, that cross-sectional is what you call comparative in the sense you do cross-sectional comparison. Maybe more than one group that you did the cross-sectional. It's not a matter of case, you are looking for any case, but it's just cross-sectional study. There is analytical in the sense that you have at least two groups you're comparing. In that case, of course, the thing that's happened, you can calculate odd. You use odd. You cannot calculate risk. This is a case of example I gave yesterday, that in a situation where somebody did cross-sectional study and calculate odd ratio, and somebody says it's not case control. You cannot use odd ratio. It's not case. Oh no. Apology to my organs here. These are the days of community everything. We have community psychiatry, community O&G, community pediatrics, everything community. Some of our friends, as well as friend examiner, some of them just go to South Africa, maybe just spend 3 months. They did study on epidemiology. They come, and instead of them they just feel that they have known everything. But the issue there is that, in fact, it is better not to be informed than to be half informed. Anybody that is half informed, very half informed, is more dangerous than the person that is not informed. Because the person that is not informed knows that he doesn't know it. He doesn't even go, it's okay, clear, I don't know this. But somebody that feels he knows, and eventually he doesn't know, and destroy life. So I actually appeal to some of our senior friends that go for exam. I feel bad when they just face some people based on their own mistake, because most of our doctors, some people die in trying to do exam. Travel from Maiduguri to Lagos to Ibadan. They spend so much. Some people spend close to $1 million writing an exam. And somebody if the person didn't do well, yes, he didn't do well, he's failed. But somebody, because of the ignorance of somebody that is supposed to be the examiner, and now fail the person, pains me. Even me that is not in, but it pains me a lot. So those are the areas we need to look at. So now, most statistical methods such as logistic regression that are employed to identify reduction. Is there any question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is it?
Okay, so assuming you are trying to evaluate or to assess the incidence of a particular disease before an intervention, and then you go back again to assess the incidence after you have provided an intervention.
Yeah.
Will that fall under example number 1, case control study?
No. It's not case control study. What you talked about is experimental design. It is because you did intervention and experimental design. So you are calculating risk because you have a group that in experimental design by default there is comparison. So you have a group you intervene, some with the other group you didn't intervene. In that case, you are calculating risk because it is in that sense also is like a cohort study. But it's only that this one is not a natural, it's you that you are intervening. But the only thing is that within short time, it has right for you to take your measurement again to now calculate what you want to calculate. You can calculate risk in that one. Do you get the picture now? But the funnest thing you're going to get to know is that odds ratio is more universal than relative. The odds ratio can be calculated where you are supposed to calculate relative risk. Relative risk cannot be calculated when you are supposed to. After all, relative odds ratio is originally used to represent relative risk because you calculate odds to stand for risk. The real issue is risk. But in a situation where you cannot calculate risk, you calculate odds. You understand me now? In this case, you are talking experimental design, you can calculate your risk. We are case control. Case means that this person has the attribute you want to study because you don't study anything in isolation, you are studying the factor responsible. Somebody is talking. Any question? Most statistical, what I wanted to say before you interlude is, most statistical methods, such as logistic regression, that are employed to identify the predictors of outcome and also remove confounders, use odds ratio to measure the sense of association. It doesn't mean that you cannot, if you are doing a meta study or core study, you can run odds ratio because after all, if you are doing logistic regression, it's odds ratio it will give you. We're going to know later that odds ratio only approximately if this disease is real. Yes. Dr. Fatima, ask your question. Go on. Go on, Dr. Fatima.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, I guess you have answered the question. I wanted to ask a question. If maybe you're doing a study on something like child abuse and you're looking at the factors, the associations. So I was thinking, should I use logistic regression? And then when I saw that odds ratio can be used, that was what I wanted to ask.
Yes, but you know what I'm even saying. Logistic regression uses odds ratio as its own statistic. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
and now,
okay, sir.
You use odds ratio anyway. Odds ratio, well, it's not the statistic there is one statistic is chi-square. It uses odds ratio. So, and the study doesn't really matter. In logistic regression, the study doesn't really matter whether it's any type of study. You understand now? You can use it. You use it. But don't worry. Let's discuss further. This one is just like a picture for you to be able to conceptualize what I say. How can risk be calculated? Can risk be calculated?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Can risk be calculated only from the data capture when the event has not occurred? Risk can be calculated only for the data capture when the event has not occurred. Look at this thing. Case control. Compare risk factor, frequency, cases and control. Retrospective cohort. Risk factor, then compare disease incidence, this prospective study, we look forward, compare disease, no risk factor plus here, then risk factor not there, go to the disease. Look at this one now. The disease incident, the risk factor, then no risk factor. If you look at it, this one move, though this one is retrospective, but if you move from is there risk factor or no risk factor to the disease, what you are saying is that these people, they are exposed. For example, now we are talking about maybe varicose vein, and OCP. These people take OCP, these people do not take OCP. We now look forward after some years to see how many people that take OCP develop varicose vein, how many people that did not take develop. So you have already recruited, compared of them before, then you look forward to see how many develop later. Both of them are called. This one, you start here, this place, that's where you start your study. This place, this line, that's where you start your study. In this one, retrospective cohort, record has been there. So it's still cohort study. What's the record and the disease they have occurred in the past. So they have recorded that this person, people they have the risk before, some years ago. They recorded that these people did not have the risk before, they were not exposed. They also record after some years after that first one, maybe 20 years ago they recorded, about 5 years ago, they have recorded that some of people have disease, some did not have the disease. So both the record of exposure and the disease, it has been there in the past. It's just for you to go and analyze it. So it's still a cohort, but you are going back to get the data. But in this one, prospective, you first of all got this data. You have to wait for some time also to get the data of the disease. This is where the follow-up comes. This is very, very most expensive. This is not expensive because you are just looking back to get record. This one also is the cases you are dealing with. It's not even the case, these cases and people that don't have, you are not asking them questions. So the core study is stronger. Even this one that is very stronger because the evidence is there. So it's just for you to take the record. I usually use a lot in occupational health because in occupational health, they usually have record in a company. You have record of what happened before, who the person was. He didn't have any disease. He was smoking at that time. But when he had the disease, they knew when he started having the disease. It was in the record. So those are the things. Now, we are not doing epidemiology study design here, but just for you to be able to conceptualize. Comparing risk and odds using 2x2 contingency. Now, how do you do that? Occurrence of events are as a result of exposure to certain factors. You know that. That is occurrence of disease. It's because you exposed, there must be something causing the disease you were exposed to, either knowingly or unknowingly. The relationship between exposure to a factor and the occurrence of an event can be depicted in 2x2 contingency. The row represents exposure to the factor, while the column represents the occurrence of event. Look at it. Exposure, exposed, no. You dichotomize people that are exposed, you that are not exposed, you that now have the disease, you that don't have the disease. So it becomes 2x2 table. A, B, C, D. Now, how do you compare? So you have to first of all, okay, now what you want to do is to say, okay, you want to compare the risk between the people that are exposed and the people that are not exposed. Now, the old calculating risk is possible if you are able to differentiate people that were exposed and not exposed before the risk happened, before the disease happened. Then, in a situation where you cannot do that, you may gather the people that have the disease and the people that didn't have the disease and calculate the odds that they were exposed to the factor. You cannot, so though the odds they were exposed to is like a proxy to the risk of exposing to the factor. Because you cannot say, wow, what is the risk that this person smoked. There is no risk because it has happened. So you can only calculate the odds. But they are related, as you know that odds and risk are related. You will say that, no, I don't want, maybe this thing is very, there's some slide that here that maybe I'll come back to them. So I want something that makes you to conceptualize it. Now, I prefer using an example before I go back to that something. I thought, let's use an example. Let's use an example. You make it easier, then we can go back to. In a study of 500 workers, smokers, and 1,000 non-smokers, were followed up for 10 years to see how many will develop lung cancer. If 25 of the smoker and 5 of the non-smoker develop lung cancer, respectively, what is the relative risk of developing lung cancer following smoking? We're going to use to calculate for you to understand the risk. Relative risk just means some people are exposed, some people are not exposed. What is the risk of developing the outcome among the exposed relative to the risk of developing among non-exposed? So you are dividing the risk among the exposed by the risk, that is the ratio there, the relative, by the risk among the people that are not exposed. So all we need to know here on this table to know those who are exposed and those who are not exposed. Who is smoking? 500 people, they are exposed, they are smoking. Who is not smoking? 1,000 people, the total here, they are not smoking, they are not exposed. Later, who develop lung cancer? 30 people. Then who did not develop one lung cancer? 1,470. Because remember, all of them were 1,500 when they started, 1,005. 500 smoking, 1,000 not smoking. Then 3 now develop, those 30 develop lung cancer. So remaining 1,474, but 70 did not develop. Now look at the inside the table now. Out of the 30 that develop, okay, let's take it like this. Out of the 25, out of the 500 that are smoking, 25 develop lung cancer. So the risk of lung cancer will be 25 over what? What is the risk of lung cancer? Out of 500, 25 develop lung cancer. What is the risk of lung cancer? Please, you can talk. Unmute yourself and talk. The class. Somebody should talk now. What is the risk of developing lung cancer? Out of 500 people, 25 develop lung cancer. What is the risk?
25 over 500.
Thank you, ma'am. 25 over 500. That is the risk. So whatever you get will be the answer. 24%. That's the risk. You can express as percentage of decimal. Oh, this is the percentage this is the probability. That's the risk of lung cancer. Among the people that are not exposed, are not smoking, is 5 over 1,000. So which one is higher? Which one is higher now? Which risk is higher?
Smokers, the risk for those who smoke is higher.
Yeah, it will be higher because look at the human. So now, if it's higher, I want to know how many times is it bigger than the risk of the people among the people that are not smoking. So if you want to know how many times something, you make that in the numerator and make the other one the denominator. That is the relative risk. So in that case, we now put 25 over 500. Everything divided by 5 over 1,000. Can you see? This 24 over 500 is the risk among the smokers. The 5 over 1,000 is the risk among the smokers. If you do your exchange of solve your formula, it gives you 10. So what it tells you is that the smokers, they are 10 times more likely to develop lung cancer than non-smokers. We also say, also calculate all the job, but leave that one now. Let's go and run this, run it. We'll come back to all the issues, bit by bit. So when somebody should run for us, please. Somebody should share. You see a file, smoking lung cancer. Smoke, non lung cancer, smoke lung cancer, because I'll give you 2 of those symptoms. There's smoking lung cancer, there's lung cancer smoke. Somebody should read for us, please. We don't have time. Used to it tonight. Who is sharing? Who is sharing?
Okay, I can share. My own is open.
Doctor. Okay, go on, share. Go and share quickly. That's great. Smoky lung cancer, yeah. So this one, don't let me waste time on the way we. If you click on the view, you can see it labels it. If you click on the view and now view on the upper side. No, not variable view. Go back to data view. View. Click on view after edit. Yes. Click on value labels. Click on it. The label is for you. So what we're interested in is this smoking and lung cancer. Is okay. So the people that are smoking, so the way we enter it is in, well, this is not here, it's in series. Usman, you like causing noise. So now go to, it's very simple. Without what because we don't have time. Go to analyze. It's just cross tabulation. You know, anything when you are talking of two categorical variables, it's cross tabulation that is the relationship between them. You are dealing with two, the analysis is cross tabulation. So just know that one. So move smoking as the exposure row. No, lung cancer is it? No, lung cancer is the no lung cancer logistic. Please, the first one, yeah. Column. Yeah, put it. Click on statistics. No, leave those one. Click on statistics. I just created those one for something else. Click on risk under kappa, below kappa, risk. You're not calculating chi-square. If you calculate chi-square, it will give you chi-square for that thing, but it's not chi-square we're looking for here now. Click continue. Click OK. And share your results. So if you want to share, you can stop sharing this one and share your result. And let's see what we did. Yes. Can you see? Scroll down. It's the one down, the table down. You will see, you know, the computer is garbage in, garbage out. Because they are programming, because it's the same process that calculates odd ratio for you. So it will give you the odd ratio for that. Where are you going now? Where did you go to? It should be the last thing and go down completely. It should be the last thing because you have done some analysis before. The last analysis is what? Go to the last.
Okay, I'm on the last one.
But you are going up to the. So now you will see odd ratio, leave that one. You see yes, lung cancer. Yes. What is telling you is that the people that have lung cancer, yes, is your outcome measure. The examiner is not the no. Because the coding is just make mention of the variable. The way they do that sometimes it may not be something like yes or no that is outside there. It's telling you the interest, the variable of interest, which is the outcome measure, the value of the outcome. If you say somebody died, yes or no. Yes is the indicating that the person died. No means that it's not dead. So that's what it's telling you. So yes, yes, that is the one. That is yes is the lung cancer. Lung cancer, yes, that is our outcome. If the outcome is lung cancer, no. Like now, if let's say it's an immunization now that you give, and you want to, your outcome measure, want to know that if somebody, you can decide what, if your outcome measure is if somebody now develop the disease or doesn't develop the disease, because the interpretation is different. Here now, what we are looking at is that the person, so the odd ratio, that's the odd ratio we are looking for, 10. 10, that's what we calculated. Now, the confidence interval, you can see the confidence interval, that's why we now explain that confidence interval. It give you the confidence interval 3.8651 to 25.965. Now, you can stop sharing and stop sharing. Yeah, thank you. I want to demonstrate something. Imagine you have a scale like this from 0. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You can have 0.2, 0 point something. You can have 0.8 here, 4.1. So you can have something that range from here to here, in the range of value confidence interval that range from here to here. You can have confidence interval that range from here to here. You can have confidence interval that range from maybe here. This scenario, I think I even have this in there. So this scenario you are seeing, I want to, which of them cross 1? Which of those value, the range of value cross 1? I want somebody to respond, please.
The middle one.
Which one did not cross 1? Which one crossed 1?
The last one up did not cross 1, and
Thank you.
The first one did not cross 1.
Thank you. Only one. This middle one is the one that crossed 1. Now, if your relative risk is the same thing applicable to all ratio anyway. Relative risk is comparing risk among the people that are exposed as numerator, risk among the people that we did not expose as denominator. If both of them have the same risk, what would be the answer? If you divide them, what would be the answer? If the value numerator and denominator is the same, what would be the answer?
1.
1. When you divide, for you to get 1, you divide 2 things of the same value, will give you 1. If you can calculate relative V to be 1, it's telling you that the disease or whatever thing we are talking occur at the same rate between the people that are exposed and people that are not exposed. So the exposure has nothing to do with that thing occurring. I don't know if you are getting me now. So, and the confidence interval, whenever you estimate whatever you get as statistic, it's an estimate of what is in the population. It's an estimate. So that particular thing occur in the exists in the population because you cannot take the whole sum, the 2 sample. Your calculation is based on the sample you have. The attribute occur in the population. If you take the whole population, you'll be able to get that attribute. So whatever you are getting in your sample is an estimate. You are trying to estimate what's in the population. So the confidence interval is an inferential method that helps you to okay. Now with what I get you, I'm not sure what is in the population. I want to be confident to maybe 95% to say, okay, even though I'm not sure this is what I get in my sample, but I'm 95% confident that in the population, the real value will be between this and this. When you say between this and this, it's telling you that it can be anything in between the range. If I say between 1.5 to 4, it can be 1.1, 1.2, 1.0, and any value can be surface. If I say it's between 0.2 to 0.8, any value can surface. If I say between 0.2 to 3, any value. If you look at that one, any value in between can surface. So that second one in the middle, 1 is one of those values in the middle. You get the picture now? So if it calculates confidence interval of ratio, either relative risk or odd ratio, and the confidence interval include 1 in the, so that shows that it starts from the 0 point something and now end anything after 1, it has included 1. That shows that 1, it can be 1. So if it can be 1, that shows that it's not significant. If 1 is one of them, that shows that you knowing that 1, when you divide, that shows that the risk is in that situation, the risk is the same between the numerator and the denominator, between the exposed and non-exposed. So when the confidence interval of odd ratio crosses 1, it's not significant. It shows that there's no difference in the population. But if it starts after 1 and ends somewhere, that shows that there's a significant difference. If it starts somewhere before 1 and ends before 1, it shows that there's a difference. The only thing there is the interpretation and the way you do it. So the first one, if it starts after 1 and ends somewhere, it shows that because the real value you calculate will be in between, somewhere it will be captured in the confidence interval. If it's between anything from after 1 and ends somewhere, the real thing you calculate is greater than 1 already then. That shows that if the risk is greater than 1 and the difference, the relatively is greater than 1, it shows that the numerator is far bigger than the denominator. So it shows that those people that are exposed are more likely to have the disease. If it's something is 3, that shows that it's 3 times more likely to have the disease. But if something is 0 point something, that shows that the real value will be 0 point something also. The confidence interval from here to here, the real value will be something here. It means that for you to get 0 point something, that shows that the denominator is bigger than the numerator. That shows that even the people that are less, that are not exposed, they have the disease more because they are the denominator. That shows that factor self is usually the one preventing the disease. The people that are not exposed, they didn't have the disease. The people that are exposed, the people that are not exposed to that factor, they are the one that now have the disease. The people that are exposed, they didn't have. That shows that factor self is protective. So that is just the interpretation of that. Let me just show you another. I think I even have it on this. I don't know where I was. I just remember that I've instructed. Okay. 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 Oh, wow. Sorry. I want to open. Let me just close this chi-square stuff so that doesn't confuse me. Yes. Yes. So this is what I was trying to say in another way in that place. So can you see now the people when the confidence interval, this is 1, this is less than 1, this is greater than 1 on this side. So if it's from minus to minus, it's significant. If it's, can you see, it crosses 1. From minus, the value is from 0 point something. Once it's less than 1, sorry, it's going to be 0 point something. Cross over. But the confidence interval, the value calculated is still less than 1. Can you see? In this case now, the first case scenario, what you calculated, sorry, I was trying to, in the first scenario, I'm looking for the right, in the first scenario, what you calculated is this dot is less than 1, is 0 point something. But the confidence interval was 0 point something to 0 point something, is significant. it shows that there's a significant difference. But in this case, the people that are exposed, they have less of the disease. Because that's why it gives 0%. The numerator was small. The risk was small among the people that are exposed. This second one, what you calculated is less than 0, but the confidence level said is less than 0, start from less than 0 and less than 1 rather, and end afterward. It shows that it's not significant, even though it's trying to tell you that that particular people that are exposed, they have less of the disease, but it's not significant because it has crossed, because it can be one, it can be anything, even on this side in the population. So it's not significant. This one, what you calculated is more than 1. It shows that that risk, that the people that are exposed to the factor, they have more of the disease than the other people. So they are more likely to have the disease, but since it started from 0 something and end after 1, it's not significant. Because it can as well be 1, it can be on any side in the population. This last one, what you calculated is more, it shows that it's only more than 1. It shows that the people that are exposed, they have more of the disease. And it's significant because when you look at the confidence interval, it does not cross 1. So it can be any value here, which is still more than 1. That is the interpretation. So I don't know if anybody have issue with interpreting confidence interval issue. Even though we are just, it's the same thing for all ratio, but we'll go and calculate all ratio now. But we have done relative risk. It is very clear. Just give me any question. Just give me 1 minute. I have a meeting with some people by now. I will call them to escape me for some minutes, 30 minutes more, so that I join. Any question? Any question?
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, it's very simple. Okay. It's very hard. Okay, go on.
Please, sir, I wanted to find out. So that means for the odds ratio, because I know that you can use it for both when the event has occurred and when the event is still to occur.
But why are you, because we are talking of, I thought you are asking a question about this relative risk, we just interpret now.
Okay, now I understand it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other question? Is it that the people are tired or what? Okay, is it clear? It's very clear, right?
Yeah, it's clear.
It's clear. Okay. Somebody has a question. Somebody say excuse. Okay, it's very clear.
It's clear.
Okay. Let's start by. Okay, yes. Sorry, just 1 minute. Hello, Emeka. Hello? Hello? Yeah, how now? Have you reached? No, if you give me 30 minutes, can we start in 30 minutes time by 9:30? Please tell your people. Because I'm still on with the, today is the last day, I'm still on with the people here. Okay, thank you. Yeah, 30 minutes time. Yeah. No, it's 9. I'm having a meeting by 9. Okay. It's very clear. Okay, let's quickly go and finish up. Now, let's go to the relative risk aspect, odds ratio aspect. Okay, this example. Look at example for relative risk for odds ratio. Of 200 patients treated in a hospital, 50 have lung cancer. Of this patient, 45 are smokers. Of the remaining 150 patients, 60 are smokers. What is the odds ratio for smoking? To calculate the relative risk. You may ask me that there's nothing like calculating actually relative risk in case control this scenario. But not that you cannot calculate it, but it doesn't make any meaning to calculate it, but you can calculate it because computer you can bring it out because there's a relationship between both of them. So let's continue. Now, you see, look at this case now. Smoke, the people that have lung cancer, 50. The people that don't have lung cancer, 150. The people that smoke, 105. The people that have 195. But the issue is that among these people that have lung cancer, 45 smoke. Among 150 people that don't have lung cancer, 60 smoke. I want to ask you, from what you see, where is smoking higher? Where is smoking higher here? Because sometimes you use head to interpret. Can somebody quickly say, where is smoking higher? Nobody responded. You can unmute yourself and talk.
So smoking higher.
Where is smoking higher?
The number of people that smoked is the first row.
The first row, no. I'm in between people that have lung cancer and people that didn't have lung cancer. Where is smoking higher?
Oh, I see. Sorry, it's the those that have lung cancer.
Yes. Though it's 45, because 45 out of 50 is higher than 60 out of 150, right?
Yes.
Because among the people that they don't have lung cancer, 60 smoke. Among the people that have lung cancer, 45 smoke. But it's higher among the people that don't have lung cancer because it's 45 out of 50. Why this was 60? If we calculate the percent, that was what we were talking about, interpreting result the other time. Now, what we want to calculate now, there are two approaches to calculate odds ratio. It's so funny. I don't even know how I put it yet. There are two approaches to calculating odds ratio. You can lose, okay, let's just use the simpler one. Okay, you can use calculate risk. You know, you can calculate odds from risk. Calculate risk and calculate odds. You calculate risk and calculate odds, and now compare odds for each of the group. Simple. Because you are comparing odds for each of the, then you can as well do it in the other way also. Just hold on 1 minute. Hello, ma. Hello, sir. I'm fine, sir. Okay, check it, send it by because she will send it in like 30 minutes. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. I will do that. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. So let's just look at it here. Okay, the short wave. Yeah, I don't like. Okay. Don't worry. I know what is playing here. Eraser. Somebody is making noise. Jane, this is making noise. Okay. I want to write to, okay. Test, okay. Okay, draw. The draw I want to write, okay. Now, oh my God. I think yes. Okay. remember the figure. A, B, C, D. Now, okay, anyway, even the other total is not even useful. But what I just want you to see here is, you say this is 45, this is 5, this is 60, this is, I know that this is 150. So this is 90. This is what?
50.
50. Let's use the risk approach first. If you want to calculate the, okay, here now, how many, what is the risk among these people now? These people, what is the proportion that smoke here?
It's 45.
45. So 45 will be, proportion will be 45 all over
50.
50.
Yeah.
That's the proportion. But if you say, what is the herd that smoke or smoking? What is the herd or smoking? Yes, what is the herd? I want you to get from first principle. What is the herd of smoking?
It's now be 45 over 50 divided by 1 minus 45 over 50.
And what will it give you? 45 over 50 divided by 1 minus this, what is it? Divided by 5 over 50. Is it not 5 over 50?
45 divided by 50 is 0.9. So
the odd is 45 all over 50 divided by 5 all over 50. Does it make sense? What the probability of smoking is 45 over 50. The probability of not smoking is 1 man of this, the remaining 1 over 50. Does it make sense?
Oh yes. Yes, it does.
This is the people that smoke, this is the people that didn't smoke. So the probability that of the event and the probability that without the event. So this is the hard. But if by the time you change the subject of formula now,
what over 50 times 50 over 5, that should be 45 divided
by first principle, 45 over 50 times
50 divided by 5.
Thank you. It will now give you this one, will cancel this. It will be 45 over, which is 9. Is that also 45 over 5?
Yes, sir.
So it's the same thing you do, and just say 45 over 5. It will give you, because that 50 will cancel out. Can you see? It's like say 45 over 5. It's the same thing if you want to now know herd of the herd of the air of not smoking will now be of smoking rather will be, somebody is raising hand. Yes, will be the 60 over 90. So somebody is raising hand. Yeah, talk. That's your question.
Sir, from what you're doing, you are looking at those that have lung cancer first.
Yes. I'm looking at the herd of smoke. That's the logic now. Among the, because the case control, the course study start with smoking, non-smoking, calculate risk among smoking, and compare with risk and not. But this one calculate herd among the people that have the lung cancer, and also calculate among the people that don't have the lung cancer and compare. Does it make sense?
Okay, yes, sir. It does.
The case course study starts with exposure to the disease, but this one starts the disease to exposure. So here you are starting with what you have in mind, either you have disease or not. It's not whether you smoke or not. It's the course study that starts whether you smoke or not, but this one starts whether the person has disease or not. Does it make sense now?
Yes,
so
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If the herd of what do I call it? Okay, before I even arrive there, I just say 45 over 5. That's the 90. If the odd or smoking is 45 over 5, rather 5. So relative odd ratio or relative odd, if you are comparing the odd between this one now, it will be 45 over 5 over 5 divided by 60 over 90.
So that's the logic.
Over 90. So if you do the surgery formula again, it will give you change it to 45. I can't write that very well. Over 5, 90 over
50. So that's where that formula comes out from. That formula of
you will now see. You will now, when you calculate it, you see. If you remember, A is 45. The D is 90. And 5 is C. This is 5. And this is 60 is this. So that is why they say it's cross product. It's just to make it easy. When you arrange the result, AD divided by BC, that is all this. It's just after somebody moved around, there's a shortcut. I didn't know that I have to London. I don't know that this school is behind this church. I have to move around. So the school behind this church is this one. So AD over this. That's why the answer. Just cross it, cross product. Multiply this by this at numerator, and multiply this by this at denominator. Give you the order. When you get this one, it give you the answer here will be 13.5. The answer.
Thank you, sir.
Does it make sense?
Makes so much sense.
Okay, it does, sir.
Whichever, even if you know the funny thing, even if you go and calculate it like the way you calculate, or if it give you the same answer, because different way of it give you the same answer. So let's just move forward and go and run it because we don't have the time. We're supposed to have close number. Let's quickly run it. So who run it? Somebody should quickly. Jane, the person that run the last one, just go and share the other one. Lung cancer smoke now. Not smoking lung cancer. Lung cancer smoke. Share the other 5. Lung cancer smoke. And let's run it. There are a lot of things to still compare here. Is some okay? You are doing it. If there is any something, you can chat. Or if you ask a question, you don't want to just chat so that you can chat your question. I discovered that not all the malaria consultant people came. Jane.
You know, today is Sunday, and then apart from that, they've been busy throughout the week. So attending the training again for the whole of the weekend is like depriving them.
Let's quickly run this one. This is lung cancer smoke. Yes. So go quickly, go and do the same thing. Just the risk. Just give us the result. Go to cross tab. So smoke is the row, is still the exposure, even though it's smoke. Lung cancer is the outcome. No, lung cancer up. Okay, go to go to statistics. Go to statistics. Click on risk. It's still risk. It's measuring risk because it's the same process for calculating them. It's still risk. Continue. Okay. Somebody's this.
Can you see my screen?
You have run it. Share it with, stop sharing and share with her. We didn't see your result.
Yeah.
Yeah, share again. Well, you're this thing. You can mute yourself because you are the one making noise see also. So
okay, me.
Yes.
It's raining here.
Okay.
It's raining.
Mute your when you are not talking, you mute. So 13, can you see 30.5? That's what we calculated, right? odds ratio. It's also calculated risk quality. Now, you can you see, look at the confidence interval, also the same thing. It is not cross one. So it's the same interpretation. Now, let me quickly, you can stop sharing again. Let me quickly, now, we have looked at the interpretation. I think I've said this one. If the relative odds ratio is close to 1, there is the association between exposure and outcome. A relative risk or odds ratio greater than 1 indicates a positive association between exposure and the disease. A relative risk or odds ratio less than 1 means the exposure is associated with the less disease and may be protected. The relative risk or odds ratio is often reported as a single number followed by confidence interval in parentheses. If the range of confidence interval include 1, then the result is not statistically significant. I think we have explained that. So if the risk reduce risk with exposure, that is when the relative is less than 1. That should, if you expose, that should, because the one that is about the person that is exposed is the numerator. So if the what you calculated is less than 1, that should the numerator is less than the denominator. That should that factors is protecting. But if it's the other way around, if the thing is greater than 1, that should that the risk is greater with exposure. If it is 1, none of them, neither the risk or exposure, none of them causes it. That should that there is no association. That particular factor, doing it or not doing it, has nothing to do with that disease at all. So that is the interpretation. And well, there's some other thing I was showing here. I think all those ones who have, okay, no, you have to calculate, you will see it. Look at that cross product I was telling you, AD over BC. It's because of that, we just give you just cram it like that, but the way it works, that is, this one just talking about the confidence level. Let's quickly look at some facts. When the probability of an event is happening is rare, the odds ratio and probability are close. Odds and probability rather are close. When I've already demonstrated that in that first slide, initial slide. Yeah, no, should be after. Is it this one? Yes, look at it. So that is where in a rare disease, look at it. If that is tiny, so what this one approximates this odds ratio, that is, you put this one all over this one, it's like putting it all over total because there is no much difference. Approximate. Well, that is where that area that has the attribute is very tiny, small. So the odds and probability will approximate, be almost the same. So that's just what the statement is saying. So this is because A is much smaller than B. So it's the same thing. Because A is very small compared to the, you know what I mean by the A in the picture. Okay, I can write on this thing. So on the slide, let me just pick the annotation. What do you mean by A, B, C, D? This is A plus B. The total here is A plus B. This is B, C plus D. That's the total. Now, why? Because the same thing also, look at it. A is much smaller than B, and so A all over A plus B is approximately A plus B. Can you see? C is much smaller than because if the disease is, this first column, the A and C are the people that have the disease. This second one is the people that don't have the disease, because the disease is along the vertical. While these two, This row are the people that are exposed. The second row are people that are not exposed. So this group that have the disease A and C. It's only A is the people that have the disease among the exposed. C is the people that have the disease among the non-exposed. So though if the disease is rare, though that A and C will be small. When you are now putting the risk among the exposed, which is A all over A plus B, A is small. It's like compared with B, A is nothing. So it can be A approximate A all over B, and this one approximate C all over D. Plus the odd ratio approximate relatively when its success rates are rare. And you know that the formula for odd ratio is A all over, I don't think if I put in the next this thing. Okay. Yes, what I was saying. Okay. Let me just say. You remember the formula? Because you need to understand. Look at relative risk. Is it not A all over A plus B? That is easily among the exposed all over the total, which is here, divided by easily among the non-exposed all over the total here. This is relatively. This odd ratio, AD all over this is what we demonstrated the other time. When the disease is rare now, when this one, A become A all over A plus B, A all over A plus B become A all over B.
Yes.
Yeah, let me just, because this thing is okay. I hate this thing that is telling me. I wanted to use to write it.
Okay.
It still giving me the spotlight. Okay, maybe I need to. So sorry. So what I'm saying now is that when you look at it now, it's even here. A, if A is small, A all over A plus B become something like I didn't even know that one. Let me just use that one. This thing. Where is the touch? Where is the touch that was now showing now? Okay, what I was just let me use this one. So A all over A plus B, when A becomes small, it becomes A all over B. Can you see? C all over C plus D, when C is because it becomes C all over D. Is it not the same thing that is AD all over BC, CB, which is the formula of odd ratio? So when the disease is there, the relative risk approximate odd ratio. That is what you will have gotten by doing cohort study. You get the same result if you do, you will almost get the same result if you do a case control study. And you know, cohort study is very expensive. You can wait, spend money, you may not get results if the disease is rare. But if the disease is not rare, you get. But if the disease is there, you may spend money. So, but if you now use case control to just use available, you do it very well, you get almost the same result. So when the disease is rare, odd ratio approximate relative risk. That's one part here. And we can demonstrate it, okay. We can, okay, let me, it is even the result. This rushing hour, this thing is not moving. Let me stop here and see. The slide is not moving. Yes, yeah. So look at the result. Let's look at the result. This thing I just said now, I want you to look at it. If you compare this one, the example of, look at this table for cohort study, the first one we did. Look at the table. Look at the people that have cancer, 30 out of 1,500. Look at the second one. You that have cancer, 50 out of 200. Which one have the disease here? In where is the disease common, more common? Which of them? the disease is more common? This one, thank you. So in that the example we use for case control, the disease, just forget about it because we use case control, okay. But in this one, that the disease is common. It's not so rare. Yes, I mean it's common. Look at the result output. Look at both odds ratio and relative risk it gives us. It gives us 13. Here the disease is common, right? The odds ratio is 30.5, relative risk 8.143. There's a distance between 30.5 and there's much difference between 30.5 and 8.143. This is the odds ratio. This is the relative risk. Now, let's look at the other one. The other one, the disease is rare here. Look at odds ratio 10.474, relatively 10. Can you see the value are almost the same?
Yes.
You look at the picture now. When the disease is very rare, the value you get for odds ratio and relative will be almost the same. Yes, I mean now. So that's one fact I want you to know. Another fact I want you to know is the same thing here. This one is also showing it also. This is odds ratio relatively. Look at, let's imagine the population where we see this is people that have the there are two populations. This is the exposed and non-exposed. Comparing them, you can see the same relative risk. But if you look at the prevalence of the disease is increasing as it's increasing, even though because it's increasing equally on both the exposed and non-exposed. Can you see now? Can you see the 0.3, 0.5, 0.7 is increasing here also? But the relative risk is the same, but the odds ratio, can you see? But come and see the one that the disease is rare is 0.1. The difference between 2 and 2.1, can you see? The difference between the relative and odds ratio is small here. But when the disease become higher, becoming higher. Can you see now? It's another way to confirm what I said. Now the last thing we'll do, we close, is relative risk, the relationship between both of them. When the event occur equally in both the exposed and non-exposed, you know, we have already said that it's 1. Both relative risk and odds ratio will be 1. That is when relative risk and odds ratio is the same. When there's no association, that is both exposed and exposure, exposed and non-exposed, the disease is the same rate among them. The relative risk and odds ratio will be 1. In that case, relative risk and odds ratio are the same. When the exposure has nothing to do with the disease. Now, the odds ratio is always further away from 1 than the relative risk. If relative risk is greater than 1, or after all, both of them are greater than 1 anyway. We have already said that both of them are 1. When if one is 1, the other one is 1. When they are greater than 1, the relative risk, and when when the both of them are greater than 1. Now, come and say how relative risk and odds ratio are more similar when the baseline risk, reference risk, or the probability of event in population is small. What I just want to say is that when both of them they are greater than 1, that is, okay, let me just say, when relative risk is greater than 1, the value of the odds ratio is greater than relative risk. When relative risk is less than 1, the value of the odds ratio, of odds ratio is less than relative risk. I don't know if you understand me now. If both of them are greater than 1, the odds ratio will be greater than relative risk. When both of them are less than 1, the odds ratio will be less than relative risk. That is, when both of them are 0 point something, for a particular data set, the odds ratio will be less than relative risk. But if both of them are above 1, the odds ratio will be greater than relative risk. You know, it's just like what happened between risk and odds. The risk is probability ranging from 0 to 1. Odds is ranging from 0 to infinity. The same thing, relative risk has a narrower range, but odds ratio is from 0 to infinity. The possible value of odds ratio is from 0 to infinity. So look at this graph. This is the last one we go. I don't know, some people now may already sleeping. So look at this graph. Look at, you are plotting odd ratio, vertical, relative risk here. So if you remember, the odd ratio is from 0, I've already said, is from 0 to infinity, the possible value. But the relative risk, the risk, okay, risk ratio here, relative risk ratio is not from 0, but it's not that it's not can be greater than, but it's not from to infinity. Look at it, this diagonal, whenever both of them are 1, this is diagonal. Can you see now? Relative odd ratio, relative risk is 1 here, is 1 here. But when both of them are above this 1 to this side, can you see now? When let's say now, let's say this, let's show this red graph now. Look at the value of odd relative risk at this point here, odd ratio at 2.5. The corresponding odd ratio is it up to 2.5? Can you see?
No.
Above this graph, from this graph up now, this because look at it. If you trace the value of, let's trace the value for this point now. Let's trace the value of here. Let's use this blue graph now. The value of relatively 2.5. Look at relatively 2.5. You know it's above 1 now, Abi. Where does it meet? Yeah. Look at the corresponding value of odd ratio is more than 2.5.
It's more than 2.5.
Yes, exactly. Whenever both of them are greater than 1, odd ratio is have higher value. But let's come down to this side of this graph. Let's look at this purple now. The value of odd. Let's look at this red one. The value of odd ratio and relative risk here is 0.5. Where does it meet this graph? Is less than 0.5. Can you see?
Wow. Yeah.
So whenever the both of them are less than 1, relative odd ratio will be less than relative risk. Whenever both of them are greater than 1, odd ratio will be greater than relative risk. So it's like the possible value of relative risk in the middle, but the possible value of odd ratio is more to the negative and more to the 0 side and more to the infinity side. It's wider. So that we don't cause much confusion. This last one, I will not talk. Look at this is criteria for judging association. But this one is just a formula to convert odd ratio to relative risk because relative risk case control study is easier. You calculate in most study, cross-sectional study, case control study, even some experimental study. So at the end of the day, most of the when you publish, you have relative risk result. But their value differ, especially if the disease is not real. Whatever you estimate of relative risk, an estimate of odd ratio is an estimate of relative risk. So sometimes there is a difference. So if the value, as I have said now, there's possibility of overestimating, especially if it's on the positive side. You see, relative odd ratio is 10. Know that corresponding relatively will be less than that. You get the picture now. So there's a formula. If you do meta-analysis, is relative odd ratio they calculate, but because most of the result that we get to do meta-analysis, they report odd ratio. So after you have done your maybe meta-analysis, you can now convert the composite odd ratio you get. You can convert it to relatively to actually know, because especially if you are trying to do economics, you actually want to economic analysis of a project. You actually want to know the exact for economic purpose, or you want to estimate the effect of something. You want to be more accurate. You can change the odd ratio to relative. So I think we stop here because people are not responding. Any question? End of the show. Any question?
No, sir. It was quite explanatory.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we don't have much time to let me know. Any other questions? Doctor?
No, it was very clear.
Okay,
it was very clear.
Okay, thank you. So that's the end. We will say I will upload the video again. Let me just stop here since there's no